Hello, hello. Hello, good morning. Hello, hello. Hi, how are you? See, Module D and Module C have comparatively higher weightage. They are very big as a unit and they have comparatively many laws in them. Good morning, good morning. Sorry. Let's start with the session then. So we are doing BRBL Module A. This is MCQ Marathon 4. I'm Advocate Devshri Dua. Let's start. So Module A may will try to cover the full Module A today. We have some concepts in the starting of the class and then the MCQs. I've brought approximately 200 MCQs in Module A. I would like you to reply to the MCQs as we move forward. If at any moment you get any doubt, please write that in the chat section. Okay, let's start. So the first unit is legal frameworks of regulation of banks. So in this unit we'll be covering the BR Act, the RBI Act and the different banking regulation acts. Okay, so the first unit is the legal framework of regulations of bank. The introduction is the banking in India is mainly governed by the Banking Regulation Act and the RBI Act. We all know that BR Act and the RBI Act are the most important act for the banking people, right? इससे ही हमारा बैंक का सारा रेगुलेशन मेंटेन होता है, कंट्रोल होता है. Okay. So RBI and the government of India exercise control over banks right from the opening of the bank to the winding up by virtue of the power conferred under the statute. So if you want to get yourself registered as a bank, if you want to work as a bank or a banking company, you need to take a license from the RBI. है ना? RBI is the apex bank. RBI के हिसाब से ही हम बैंक को चलाते हैं. All the guidelines that RBI gives, we follow those guidelines and only on those guidelines we have to work as a bank or a banking company. Otherwise the RBI will take some actions which will not be in favor of you. So you can read these notes at your home. This is a homework for you all. आप proper इसे जाके पढ़ना घर पे. आप what you have to do is go on our app, download this PDF, and you can read the notes and you can even revise the MCQs from there. Okay? So RBI was established on 1st of April 1935. It is the apex bank or the father bank of all banks. This bank regulates the currency and the credit system in the country. ठीक है. So की provisions क्या है RBI Act के? First is section 3 जिसमें हम लोगों ने establish किया है RBI. Then is section 17 in which we talk about the functions of RBI. Then it is section 18 in which we talk about the emergency powers to grant loans to the banks. Section 21, RBI to manage public debt and issue currency. And section 42 in which we talk about the CRR requirement for scheduled banks. So the depositor goes to the bank and देखो हम basic काम क्या है बैंक का? The bank takes the money from the depositor and lends money to the borrower. Okay, and by this process the bank generates its money. Then comes the BR Act. BR Act is again an important act for everybody. You have to know the BR Act in details. Next is the definitions that is given under the BR Act. Section 5b talks about banking means accepting deposit repayable on demand or otherwise, withdrawable by check, draft or order. And 5c talks about the banking company. Any company that transacts the business of the banking in India is the banking company. So अगर आपको मनी मार्केट में यू हैव टू बी अ पार्ट, इफ यू वांट टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ अ मनी मार्केट, ठीक है, आपको मनी के साथ कुछ भी काम करना है, पहली बात आपको आरबीआई की रेगुलेशंस को ध्यान देते हुए काम करना है, एंड यू हैव टू बी वेरी विजिलेंट अबाउट इट कि द मनी मार्केट इज वेरी बेसिक मार्केट ऑफ द इंडिया, ठीक है, ऑफ एनी कंट्री बेसिकली. अगर आप मनी मार्केट में ही इफ यू आर नॉट डीलिंग प्रॉपरली, then the whole economy of the country will be disturbed. Okay. Then the businesses that are allowed for banking is borrowing, lending, dealing in bill of exchange, promissory notes, etc., issuing of credit, travelers checks, guarantee, safe custody. You can just give it a reading. Okay. Important. Restrictions on businesses. This is given under section 7 to 9. Only licensed bank can use the word bank in themselves. Section 8 prohibits trading activities unrelated to banking. Okay? And Section 9 talks about banks cannot hold immovable property except for its own use beyond 7 years. This can be extended for more up to 5 years if RBI approves this. So 7 plus 5, that is up to maximum of 12 years एक बैंक इमोबल प्रॉपर्टी को होल्ड कर सकती है, बट इट शुड बी ऑफ, इफ इट इज नॉट फॉर इट्स ओन यूज, बट अगर अपने यूज के लिए तो इट कैन बी फॉर इंडेफिनिट टाइम. ठीक है. लाइसेंस के बारे में सेक्शन 22 में हमने बात करा है कि विदाउट गेटिंग अ लाइसेंस फ्रॉम द आरबीआई यू कैन नॉट वर्क अ बैंकिंग कंपनी, अ बैंक कैन नॉट वर्क. Constitution of bank, categories of bank, conclusion. Just give it a read, okay? Let's start with the MCQs now. So, ABC Fintech Private Limited is planning to launch a new financial venture. It intends to accept deposit from the public. Okay, accept deposit. Issue checkbooks to its depositor, engage in buying and selling of real estate, and also act as a trustee for certain high net worth client. They plan to use the brand name ABC Digital Bank in marketing material, although they are not licensed bank. If you are not a licensed bank, can you use the word bank in your company? Based on the above case, evaluate the permissibility of their planned actions. Which of the following statements are correct in light of regulatory requirements? ABC Fintech must obtain a license under Section 22 of the BR Act to carry on the banking business in India. ABC Fintech can issue checkbooks to depositor without RBI's approval as long as they maintain proper ledgers and identification records. ABC Fintech is prohibited from using the term bank in their name without being a licensed banking company. So, what should be the answer for this question? Yes, Namrata ji is saying A, that statement number 1 and 3 are correct. What about others? Yes. See, if you do not get RBI's approval, you cannot enter into the banking system. Finish. ठीक है. मेकिंग स्टेटमेंट नंबर 2 करेक्ट. विदाउट आरबीआई अप्रूवल आप कोई काम नहीं कर सकते हो बैंक का किसी भी रिलेटेड वर्क. यू कैन नॉट, नाइदर यू कैन एक्सेप्ट डिमांड, यू कैन एक्सेप्ट कैश, नाइदर यू कैन एक्सेप्ट इशू चेक बुक्स. ठीक है. एंड कुछ भी बैंकिंग रिलेटेड काम करना है आपको आरबीआई की अप्रूवल चाहिए या यू नीड टू गेट अ लाइसेंस. Making statement number 1 and 3 correct, A is the correct answer. The company must obtain a license under section 22 of the BR Act to legally conduct banking operations in India. Only bank authorized under section 49A may allow check withdrawals. The use of the word bank or banking is strictly prohibited for non-banking entities. Question number 2. Again, same paragraph, different statements. Which of the following statements are correct in the light of regulatory requirements? A non-banking company like fintech is permitted to deal in real estate as a part of its business operations, even if it accepts public deposits. Acting as a trustee or executor may be allowed only if it is part of permitted activities under section 6(1) of the licensed bank. So I'm telling you that section number 6 is very important. Section number 6 of BR Act. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आपको पता होना चाहिए कि कौन सी कंपनी कौन सा बिजनेसेस अलाउड है, कौन क्या क्या अलाउड है टू द बैंकिंग कंपनी एंड क्या क्या नहीं अलाउड है टू बैंकिंग कंपनीज एंड बैंक्स. किस सॉर्ट ऑफ बिजनेस में यू कैन डील विद. सो व्हाट विल बी द आंसर फॉर क्वेश्चन नंबर 2? आई एम वेटिंग फॉर योर रिप्लाई. क्वेश्चन नंबर 2. क्या नॉन बैंकिंग कंपनी रियल एस्टेट का काम कर सकती है? ठीक है. सी, trading in goods or real estate is prohibited under section 8. We have just talked about section 8, है ना? Trading in goods and real estate for a banking entities, BR Act में banking entities को real estates and goods में deal करना allowed नहीं है. NBFCs कैन नॉट डू सो. ठीक है, अगर वो एक्सेप्ट कर रही हैं डिपॉजिट्स को तो वो भी नहीं कर सकते हैं. दैट मेक्स स्टेटमेंट नंबर 1 इनकरेक्ट. Let's talk about statement number 2. Statement number 2, yes, B is the correct answer. Very, very good, very good. B is the correct answer. See, banks may act as trustee executor only if licensed and permitted under section 6(1). ठीक है. Trading in goods or real estate is prohibited under section 8 of the BR Act for banking entities, and NBFCs cannot do so while accepting deposit unless specifically permitted. And permission कौन देगा? Permission will be granted by the RBI. XYZ Bank, a licensed private sector bank, recently acquires a warehouse in a foreclosure. It plans to retain the property indefinitely to run a logistics subsidiary. The bank also proposes entering into barter agreements for goods as security recovery. Separately, the bank's board approved direct trading in agriculture commodities through a new trading desk. If you know about section 6, 7, 8 and 9, you'll know कि क्या क्या allowed नहीं है यहाँ पे. ठीक है. Which of the following statements are legally and regulatorily compliant? XYZ Bank may hold the warehouse for up to 7 years if acquired as a part of loan recovery. So we have talked under section 9 कि कितने years तक हम एक immovable property को hold कर सकते हैं if it not for their own use. Retaining immovable property beyond 7 years is permitted only with RBI's extension up to 5 years. A licensed bank can directly trade in agriculture goods to diversify income streams under section 6(1). Question number 3 for everybody. So we have talked about this in section number 9. 7 years tak if it is an immovable property, yes, Rajendra ji is saying C. Namrata ji is also saying C. Yes, C is the correct answer. So 7 years तक अगर आप immovable property को retain कर सकते हैं, and for more 5 years का extension दिया जा सकता है by RBI, making statement number 1 and 2 correct. Statement number 3 is not correct. Agriculture goods में trade करना is not allowed. See, trading in goods is prohibited under Section 8, including agriculture commodities. RBI can allow an extension up to 5 years, and under Section 9, 7 years. Okay? Next question. Same paragraph, different statements. Bartering goods received under security recovery is not permitted even as part of settlement. Engaging in guarantee business is permitted under Section 6, Clause 1, Subsection 1 as a part of usual banking functions. Guarantee business में allowed है under Section 6, and bartering system received under security is not permitted. This is what question number, even as a part of settlement. 4 is 6. Question number 4. Everybody give me a reply for question number 4. देखो, guarantee indemnity services में banks are allowed. ठीक है? They are explicitly allowed. Making statement number 2 as correct. Let's talk about statement number 1. See, banks may barter or sell goods, ठीक है? Not for commercial trading, but as a settlement. Statement number 1 is saying it is not permitted even as a part of settlement. Settlement का part है, then it is allowed. General rule, it is not allowed. Bartering is not allowed. Now, give me an answer for question number 4. I've explained the two statements. Statement number 1 is incorrect. Statement number 2 is correct. B is the correct answer. Banks may barter or sell such goods only to recover disposal of secured assets, not for commercial trading. Guarantee and indemnity services are explicitly allowed under Section 6, Subsection 1. Which of the following statement are correct regarding the constitution and legal framework of banks in India? RRBs are governed solely by Regional Rural Bank Act 1976 and are not subject to the provisions of the BR Act. देखो, RRB, nationalized banks, cooperative banks, NBFC, SBI, any sort of bank basically, they have to be in accordance with and compliant to the RBI Act and BR Act. ठीक है? चलिए, RRBs are governed solely by RRB Act and not subject to the provisions of the BR Act. The public sector bank, except SBI, came into existence through nationalization under the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertaking Act. दो acts थे 1970 के and 1980 के. The State Bank of India was established under separate legislation enacted in 1955. Question number 5. So I have received two answers, B, B. Yes, B is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Public sector banks nationalized हुए थे अंडर 1970 एंड 1980 के एक्ट, एसबीआई एक्ट अलग से बना था 1955 का. आरआरबीज आर प्राइमरली गवर्न्ड बाय द आरआरबी एक्ट, बट also come under certain provisions of BR Act and the RBI Act. So this is incorrect. Which of the following statement are correct regarding the constitution and legal framework of banks in India? Foreign banks operating in India are treated as foreign companies under Indian company law and must comply with the provisions of the Company Act as well as the BR Act. All cooperative banks in India are governed by the same Central Cooperative Society Act, irrespective of the state in which they are located. क्या सारे cooperative banks सेंट्रल कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी एक्ट से गवर्न है, और डू वी हैव अ डिफरेंट एक्ट फॉर द स्टेट लेवल एज वेल? डू वी हैव टू एक्ट्स, एक सेंट्रल लेवल पे है एंड एक स्टेट लेवल पे है, राइट? नाउ गिव मी एन आंसर फॉर क्वेश्चन नंबर 6. Raju, yes, exactly. A is the correct answer. Absolutely correct. See, cooperative banks are may be governed by the Central Cooperative Society Act or respective state acts. So there is no uniform central governance. Foreign banks are treated as foreign companies under Indian company law and must comply with the Companies Act, BR Act, and the RBI Act. Question number 7. Which of the following statement correctly describes the constitution and historical development of banking institutions in India? The 7 associate banks of SBI were constituted under the SBI Subsidiary Bank Act 1959 and merged with SBI in the financial year of 2017-18. Star question. The BR Act, Amendment Act 2020, was enacted to enhance SEBI regulatory oversight over cooperative banks after failure like PMC Bank. हमने क्या सेबी की गवर्नेंस को बढ़ाया था, रेगुलेटरी पावर को बढ़ाया था. Micro and small finance bank is a private sector are generally incorporated under the Companies Act. Question number 7. Question number 7. सी, आप स्टेटमेंट नंबर 2 के ऊपर फोकस करें थोड़ी सी. स्टेटमेंट नंबर 2 इज द वन दैट इज अ बिट डिफरेंट. ठीक है, क्या हम सेबी के रेगुलेटरी पावर्स को बढ़ाते हैं कभी भी, और आर वी इंक्रीजिंग द पावर ऑफ आरबीआई? वाई डू वी हैव टू? अगर हम BR एक्ट के अंदर बात कर रहे हैं इन जनरल, अगर कोई भी बैंक के ऊपर ओवरसाइट पावर बढ़ानी है तो विल बी इंक्रीजिंग द पावर्स ऑफ आरबीआई, नॉट सेबी. आरबीआई की रेगुलेटरी पावर्स को बढ़ाया जाएगा. मेकिंग स्टेटमेंट नंबर 2 एज इनकरेक्ट, है ना? यस, नम्रता जी इज एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. Statement number 1 and 3 are correct. 2 is not. BR Act enhanced RBI's power, not SEBI's, for better oversight of cooperative banks. Most private sector banks, including micro and small finance banks, are incorporated under the Companies Act. और 2017-18 में जो 7 एसोसिएट बैंक्स थे इनको SBI के अंदर मर्ज कर दिया गया था. Which of the following statement correctly describes the constitution and historical development of various banking institutions in India? Cooperative banks have historically been intended to support individuals like artisans and agriculturists with limited financial resources. Cooperative banks usually they work with people who have lower income. तो आर्टिसंस एंड एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट को जिनके पास लिमिटेड फाइनेंशियल रिसोर्सेज है उनको हेल्प करने के लिए काम करते हैं कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स. ऑल पब्लिक एंड प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक्स इन इंडिया must be constituted only under the Companies Act. Are we just constituting them under the Companies Act? Do we not have their different acts? Question number 8. Namrata ji is saying A. What about everybody else? I need a reply. A is the correct answer. A is the correct answer. B is not correct. Cooperative banking was historically aimed at helping agriculturists, artisans, and people with limited means as per the Cooperative Society Act of 1904. Or not all banks are incorporated under the Companies Act. SEBI and RRBs are created under special statute and cooperative banks under cooperative laws. Question number 9. Which of the following statement regarding the RBI 1934 RBI Act 1934 are correct? The RBI Act provides the legal framework for regulating the capital market and stock exchange of India. Does the RBI provide for the capital market and stock exchange of India? Section 18 allows RBI to directly discount bills of exchange only in normal course of business. Third, the governor of RBI is elected by shareholders of public sector bank. क्या गवर्नर को शेयर होल्डर्स इलेक्ट करते हैं? आरबीआई के गवर्नर्स, द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पोजीशन इन द बैंकिंग सेक्टर. क्या पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स के पीपल शेयर होल्डर्स उसको इलेक्ट करते हैं? क्या आरबीआई डायरेक्टली डिस्काउंट करता है बिल्स को नॉर्मल कोर्स ऑफ बिजनेस में? क्वेश्चन नंबर 9, an important question. Just by the reading of it, we know that statements are not correct. Yes, D is the correct answer. All the statements here are incorrect. Governor is appointed by the central government, not elected by the shareholders. Section 18 allows RBI to discount bill in special circumstances only, not during routine operations. Capital market and stock exchange are regulated by SEBI, not RBI Act 1934. Okay, good question. Which of the following statements regarding the RBI Act are correct? The RBI can supersede the board of an NBFC under amendments introduced in 2019. RBI's power as a lender of last resort are derived from section 18 and 17 of the RBI Act. ये lender है last resort पे कि if you do not have money, you can if banks need money, वो डायरेक्टली आरबीआई के पास जा सकते हैं, आस्क फॉर द मनी. क्वेश्चन नंबर 10. See, both the statements here are correct. As per section 45 ID and IE inserted in 2019, RBI may replace directors and supersede boards of NBFCs. RBI's function as lender of last resort is based on section 17 and 18 of the Act. Question number 11. Which of the following are true about BR Act and its amendments? RBI derives power to inspect banks under Section 35 of the BR Act. The Act has never been applicable to cooperative banks. क्या BR Act cooperative banks पे नहीं लगता है? BR Act, RBI Act is applicable on all the banks. चाहे आप cooperative हो, चाहे RRB है, चाहे nationalized bank है, चाहे SEBI है, any bank, BR Act is going to get applied. The 2017 amendment introduced RBI's authority to direct banks under IBC via Section 35AA and 35AB. Question number 11. Yes, A is the correct answer. Very good, Namrata ji. See, The RBI conducts annual financial inspections under Section 35. The Act extends to cooperative banks via Section 56. Section 35A and AB are inserted by 2017 amendment to give RBI power under Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Which of the following are true about the BR Act and its amendments? The primary agriculture credit societies are generally fully regulated under the Act as amended in 2020. The DEF fund was introduced in 2012 amendment to take over inoperative deposit accounts. So he's going to tell me DEF क्या होता है? DEF funds क्या होते हैं? Question number 12. See, when an account is inoperative for 10 years. No, Namrata ji, B is not the correct answer. When an account is inoperative for 10 years and nobody is claiming the money in it. Both the statements are correct. Neither A nor B. Both the statements. दोनों statements साथ में correct है. ठीक है? Let's see the explanation. So, primary agricultural credit societies are exempted from the Act post 2020 amendment. DEF was introduced to manage inoperative deposit accounts inactive for 10 plus years by 2012 amendment. ठीक है, ये pointers दोनों आप learn करेंगे. Identify the correct statements in relation to RBI regulatory power and institutional structure under the RBI Act and recent amendments. Scheduled banks are defined as banks listed in the second schedule of the RBI Act and compliant with Section 42, subsection 6, clause A. Section 22 of the RBI Act deals with the RBI's power to regulate NBFC. RBI can debar an auditor from auditing up to 1 year under newly inserted Section 45 MAA. क्या RBI किसी ऑडिटर को ऑडिटिंग से हटा सकता है, डीबार कर सकता है, मतलब नॉट अलाउ, मना कर सकता है, सस्पेंड कर सकता है फ्रॉम नॉट ऑडिटिंग फॉर अप टू 1 years? हेलो, RBI being the apex court, ठीक है, can RBI debar an auditor for 1 year? RBI अगर किसी ऑडिटर ने ऑडिटिंग में मिस्टेक करी है या जान की गड़बड़ करी है, RBI can debar such person. But is it just up to 1 year? No, it is not. It is up to 3 years. 3 years तक एक ऑडिटर को डिबार किया जा सकता है by RBI. Making statement number 3 incorrect. Let's talk about statement number 2. Section 22 of the RBI deals with the RBI power to regulate NBFC. See, it is section 22 is not talking about the regulations of NBFC, rather it is talking about RBI's power to issue bank notes. ठीक है, making statement number 2 as incorrect too. Let's talk about statement number 1 now. So, scheduled banks are defined under as are defined as banks listed in second schedule of the RBI Act with section and compliant with section 42(6)(a). Yes, it is. Statement number 1 is correct. Option number A is the correct answer. Scheduled banks are listed in the second schedule and must meet criteria under section 42 subsection 6A. Section 22 deals with the RBI's power to issue banknotes. चलिए इस पॉइंट को भी हम लर्न करेंगे. So we have talked about section number 6, 7, 8, 9, section 35 and section 22, section 21 as well. Now let's see section number statement number 3, section 45 MAA allows debarment up to 3 years, not just one. Identify the correct statement in relation to RBI's regulatory powers and institutional structure under the RBI Act and recent amendments. Section 4 of the RBI Act defines the capital structure of RBI. RBI may frame schemes for reconstruction of NBFCs under new section 45 MBA. Question number 14. See, both the statements here are correct. Section 4 defines the capital of RBI. Section 45 MBA empowers RBI to frame amalgamation reconstruction schemes of NBFCs. Question number 15. Which of the following statements correctly describe the regulatory functions of the RBI? RBI has powers to grant or cancel banking license under the BR Act. क्या RBI grant कर सकता है? Yes, it can. Can it also cancel? Yes, if you are not following the guidelines of the RBI, कैसे बैंक को रेगुलेट करना है, बैंकिंग कंपनी को रेगुलेट करना है, your license can be cancelled. RBI supervises and regulates only public sector banks, not NBFC. Is the RBI just looking at the PSBs and not NBFCs? RBI can appoint and remove directors and top management of bank under certain conditions. Question number 15. Easy question. So Rajendra ji is saying A. What about everybody else? I would request you all to give me a reply so that I can see आप लोग को कितना concept clear है, and according to that only I'll bring the next PPT and explain that to you. देखो, RBI हर मनी रेगुलेटिंग पर्सन, हर जो भी मनी मार्केट में डील कर रहा है, every company, every association, whoever is dealing in the money, they supervises them. ठीक है? So RBI has, yes, A is the correct answer, absolutely correct. The RBI regulates both banks and NBFC. RBI can issue banking licenses. RBI can appoint, remove managerial personnel under specific provisions. Which of the following statement correctly describes the regulatory functions of the RBI? RBI's regulatory power also include imposition of penalties and prescribing moratorium. RBI functions as a regulator under both the RBI Act 1934 and Banking Regulation Act 1949. Question number 16 is on the screen. Both the statements here are correct. Okay? It has the power related to moratorium, penalties, etc. RBI's derive power from both acts mentioned. Which of the following illustrate the power of central government in regulating or supervising banks? The Government of India can issue binding directions to RBI under Section 7, subsection 1 of the RBI Act. The Government of India is the appellate authority for decision made by RBI on cancellation of bank licenses. क्या गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया appellate authority है अगर RBI ने आपका कैंसिल कर दिया है लाइसेंस? The appointment of RBI's governor is handled by Supreme Court of India. Is it handled by the Supreme Court of India or the Government of India? Question number 17. Question number 17. We have just talked about the appointment of the RBI's governor in question number 3 or 4. Okay? So now give me an answer of question number 17. Rajendra ji is saying C. What about everybody else? C. Appointment of the RBI governor is done by the government of India and not by judiciary, not by the shareholders. कोई और नहीं, सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इस गवर्नर को अपॉइंट कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. अगर आरबीआई के डिसीजन से आप you feel that the decision is not made right, or you have any issue with the decision of the RBI regarding the cancellation of the license or any guidelines or any action taken by the RBI, basically you can reach out to the government of India. You do not go to the court, you reach out to the government of India, and the government of India acts as an appellate authority. Government of India जो है can issue binding directions to RBI. Yes, it can. Making statement number 1 and 2 correct. C is the correct answer. Yes, yes, yes. Perfect, perfect, Amrita ji. The governor is appointed by the government, not the judiciary. Appeal. ठीक है. Next question. Which of the following illustrate the powers of central government in regulating or supervising bank? Government of India has power under the BR Act to suspend operations or grant exemptions upon RBI's recommendation. The Government of India determines additional permissible businesses for bank under Section 6(1) of the BR Act. Question number 18. क्या गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया अलाउ कर सकते हैं? सी सेक्शन 6 में देयर आर सम बिजनेसेस दैट आर अलाउड टू द पीपल, सो बैंक्स. ठीक है. क्या गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इन्हें बढ़ा सकती है? क्वेश्चन नंबर 18. The government of India can do so. The government of India can specify other business activities for banks. ठीक है. And the suspension exemptions can be granted by the government of India, but the RBI needs to give its input. Both the statements are correct. ठीक है. Rajendra ji, Namrata ji, government of India can allow other businesses. ठीक है. Both they can. The government of India can. Making statement number 2 as correct too. Both the statements are correct. Government of India can specify other business activities for banks. Suspension exemptions can be granted by Government of India with RBI's input. Which of the following statements reflect the dual regulatory structure applicable to cooperative banks? State cooperative banks are exclusively related to our register of cooperative society. RBI has power to supersede board of directors of the cooperative banks under section 36 AAA. Cooperative banks operating in multiple states falls under the Multi-State Cooperative Society Act 2002. देखो, RBI ना, अगर आप किसी भी मनी मार्केट में है, ठीक है, एंड यू आर अ पार्ट ऑफ द मनी मार्केट, RBI आपके डायरेक्टर्स को, बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स को सुपरसीड कर सकते हैं. So whether you are an RRB, whether you are a national private bank or a public bank or NBFC or a cooperative bank, doesn't matter. RBI आपके बोर्ड को ओवरटेक कर सकता है if you are not following the guidelines properly. ठीक है. If you are making defaults in the money regulation. अगर आपकी cooperative banks, Rajendra ji is saying B, if the cooperative banks are operating in multiple states, so we have multiple state cooperative society act for that, making statement number 2 and 3 correct. Let's talk about statement number 1. State cooperative banks exclusively काम करता है regulated by the registrar of the cooperative society. ठीक है. While state registrar controls formulations and management, RBI regulates banking functions. You cannot take away the power of RBI here, making statement number 1 as incorrect. Yes, B is the correct answer. Very good. While state registrar controls formation management, RBI regulates banking functions. RBI has reconstruction power, including supervision of the board. Multi-state operation falls under the separate central statute. Which of the following statements reflect the dual regulatory structure applicable to cooperative banks? RBI has no role in licensing cooperative bank operating with single state. क्या RBI license नहीं देता है? Without the license from RBI, you cannot work as a bank. RBI may initiate winding up of cooperative banks registered under the DICGC Act. Question number 20. Easy question. See, if at any moment you find any doubt, have any doubt, let me know in the chat section so that doubt gets cleared at the same point. Yes, B is the correct answer. RBI handles banking licenses regardless of geographical spread. RBI may order winding up under the ICGC Act provisions. Which of the following accurately describes how banks are regulated by authorities other than RBI? Bank must follow SEBI rules while dealing in securities such as shares or debentures. The Ministry of Finance oversees the employee salary and formation of bank. Ministry of Finance, will the ministry come for the salaries of employees? Banks are subject to income tax, GST, and other applicable taxes. If you are earning money, simple rule. अगर आप बैंक, if you are earning money from India, ठीक है, you have to pay the taxes. Okay? So चाहे आप बैंक ही क्यों ना हो, आपको टैक्स देने पड़ेंगे. Yes. DICGC means Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation. You want me to write it down, Namrata ji? See, it is a wholly owned subsidiary of RBI that provides deposit insurance to depositors in banks in case of bank fails to maintain its money. ठीक है? Or pay amount to the depositors. RBI की खुद की सब्सिडरी है. ठीक है. Let me write it down. पहले इसका आंसर करेंगे हम, उसके बाद I'll write it down. Question number 21. Rajendra ji is saying A. Yes, A is the correct answer. SEBI governs capital market related activities. HR policies are governed by internal rules and labor laws, not Ministry of Finance directly. Banks are liable for taxes like any business. मैं DICGC की फुल फॉर्म लिख देती हूँ. It is Deposit चलिए नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. Which of the following accurately describes how banks are regulated by authorities other than RBI? Labor laws influence how banks handle contract, labor, and workmen conditions. For engaging in insurance or mutual fund business, banks must comply with IRDA and SEBI regulations. Last question from Unit 1. आप एक भी क्वेश्चन पे ना फोकस करेंगे. अदर देन आरबीआई. ठीक है. आरबीआई के अलावा क्या क्या रेगुलेशंस लगाते हैं. सो लेबर लॉज को हम यूज करते हैं. यस यस एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट नम्रता जी. वेरी गुड राजेंद्र जी. सी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. The labor authorities regulate employee related matters. Banks must follow relevant sectoral laws for non banking activities. Any doubt in Unit 1? Any doubt? Anybody? Please write that in the chat section. We'll start with Unit 2. ठीक है, चलिए let's start with Unit 2 then. Control over organization of banks. So Indian banking regulation is governed by BR Act and the RBI Act. हमें पता है. ठीक है. RBI Act क्या है? Monetary authority and central banking functions देखता है. And BR Act is talking about the governance, the licensing, the supervisions of the banks. दोनों का काम क्या है? डिपॉजिटर्स को प्रोटेक्ट करना, फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी मेंटेन करना एंड ग्रो करना. किसको? बैंक्स को एंड बैंकिंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस को. सो आरबीआई की क्या की फीचर्स है, कंट्रोल कैसे होता है? देयर आर टू सेक्शंस हियर दैट वी नीड टू सी. सेक्शन 42 मेंटेनेंस ऑफ कैश रिजर्व रेशियो एंड सेक्शन 45L डायरेक्शंस टू एनबीएफसीज इन पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट. बीआर एक्ट में हम लोगों ने डिफरेंट सेक्शंस पढ़े जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है. दोनों बीआर एक्ट एंड आरबीआई एक्ट आर इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू. सेक्शन 22 of the BR Act talks about licensing of bank. Section 11 talks about regulations of paid up capital and in reserves. Section 12 talks about regulations of shareholding and voting rights. Section 13 talks about restrictions on commissions and brokerage of shares. Section 35A and 36 talks about control over management. Section 36AA talks about removal from managerial persons. कि किसी भी मैनेजरियल पर्सन को आरबीआई को लगता है कि दिस पर्सन इज नॉट वर्किंग, दिस बोर्ड इज नॉट वर्किंग एज पर द रेगुलेशंस फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ द पब्लिक, then you can remove such person. Regulations of amalgamation and winding up of the bank is also dealt under the BR Act. ठीक है. प्रूडेंशियल कंट्रोल्स क्या है? अगेन डिफरेंट सेक्शंस. सेक्शन 18 में वी टॉक अबाउट मेंटेनेंस ऑफ सीआरआर. Section 20 and 21 we talk about restrictions of loans and advances. Section 35A we talk about the power to issue directions to public for in public interest. And Section 35 talks about inspection and audit powers. आप इसको पढ़ सकते हैं. Let's see the MCQs. Which of the following statements accurately reflects key provisions related to the licensing of banking companies under the BR Act? The banking companies must obtain a license from Ministry of Finance before it can commence or carry on banking business in India. क्या आपको लाइसेंस मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस से चाहिए होता है और डू यू नीड अ लाइसेंस फ्रॉम द आरबीआई? RBI can inspect the books of a banking company before granting a license to ensure it has an adequate capital structure and earning prospects. Courts can overrule RBI's decision to refuse banking license even if it is based on relevant material. See, कोर्ट ना इंटरफेयर नहीं करते हैं आरबीआई के मैटर्स में, बिकॉज again money regulatory market है, and whenever the RBI decision comes, our court does prefer not to interfere. अगर आपको अपील में भी जाना है ना आरबीआई के डिसीजन से रिलेटेड मैटर में, यू कैन गो टू द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, एंड इफ दी समथिंग इज बेस्ड ऑन अ रेलेवेंट मैटर कि आरबीआई ने जस्टिफाई किया, अपना कॉज दिया है, तब तो बिल्कुल भी आप कोर्ट नहीं जा सकते हैं. Making statement number C as correct. Very, very. Statement number 2 as correct. Option number C as correct. License must be obtained from RBI, non-Ministry of Finance. Courts generally do not interfere with RBI's decision. In the decision is based on extraneous or unreasonable ground. जब तक कोर्ट को लगेगा कि कोई इनजस्टिस ऐसा हो रहा है जो नहीं ठिकाया जा सकता है, तब तक कोर्ट इंटरफेयर नहीं करता आरबीआई के काम में. Which of the following statements accurately reflect key provisions related to the licensing of banking companies under the BR Act? A company refused a banking license by RBI may still carry on non-banking business. आपको आरबीआई ने लाइसेंस देने से मना कर दिया है, क्या अब आप प्रॉपरली बंद हो चुके हो, मतलब यू कैन नॉट डू एनी अदर वर्क, और कैन यू डू नॉन बैंकिंग बिजनेसेस? Question number 2. RBI has discretion to impose conditions while granting banking license as per judicial precedent. कुछ डिफरेंट कंडीशंस इम्पोज कर सकता है डिफरेंट बैंक्स के ऊपर. जरूरी नहीं है कि वो मोनोटोनस रहे सबके साथ सेम कंडीशंस. इट कैन इम्पोज डिफरेंट कंडीशंस ऑन डिफरेंट बैंकिंग एजेंसीज. क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 एवरीबॉडी. आप मुझे क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 का आंसर दीजिए प्लीज. आई एम कमिंग इन 1 minute. Not 1 minute. I'm coming. Okay. Just give me an answer for question number 2. Yes. Yes. See. नम्रता जी, both the statements here are correct. ठीक है? हाँ जी. Can you hear me? Hello. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. ठीक है. चलिए. Both the statements are correct. Even if a banking license is refused, the company can engage in other non-banking activities. RBI can impose license condition as it deems fit, and this discretion is backed up by judicial recognition. Identify the correct statements about foreign banks seeking to establish presence in India under RBI licensing norms. RBI require foreign banks to follow the BR Act provisions exactly as Indian banks do, without exception. RBI assesses whether the home country of the banking foreign bank provides adequate prudential supervision aligned with Basel standards. Approval of the foreign bank's home country regulator is not required if the foreign bank is globally top ranked. Just because you are a top ranked bank, do you not require an approval from your home country to get a new branch established in a different country? Is that a sufficient ground कि आप globally top ranked bank है? And RBI require foreign banks to follow BR Act provision exactly as Indian banks. Can we accept the foreign banks कि नहीं आप सिर्फ हमारे ही rules को follow करें? You cannot follow the rules. You have to follow the rules that are in India for the other banks. See, while RBI has requirement for foreign banks, they are assessed through specific foreign bank guidelines, not identical BR Act compliance. ठीक है, मेकिंग स्टेटमेंट नंबर 1 and 3 incorrect, only 2 is the correct option. RBI consider whether the home regulator meets Basel standards supervision standard. Home regulator approval is mandatory regardless of the ranking. While RBI has requirements for foreign banks, they are assessed to specific foreign bank guidelines, not identical VR Act compliance. Identify the correct statements about foreign banks seeking to establish presence in India under RBI licensing norms. One of the factors RBI consider is whether the home country discriminates against Indian bank. Suppose हमारा कोई बैंक है, ठीक है, एंड हमारा कंट्री का जो बैंक है वो फॉरेन में ब्रांच खोलना चाहता है एंड दैट फॉरेन कंट्री इज नॉट अलाउइंग या डिस्क्रिमिनेट कर रही है हमारे कंट्री के बैंक को वहाँ पे ओपन करने के लिए, क्या हम उस कंट्री के बैंक को हमारी कंट्री में अलाउ करेंगे आने के लिए? Political and economic relations between India and the foreign bank's home country are considered by RBI. अगर हमारी किसी कंट्री के साथ bad relations है, if we have bad relations with some country, will we allow them to open their branch in India? No, will not, right? We will not. But if we have good relations with such country, we'll be accepting, we'll be happy that they are coming and putting a bank, establishing a bank in our country, so that our relations are getting stronger. Question number 4. Both the statements are correct. RBI checks whether the foreign country discriminates against Indian banks. Your political and economic relations between countries are one of the key evaluation factor. Which of the following conditions must be satisfied before RBI grants a banking license under Section 22, subsection 3 of the BR Act? The company should have at least one branch office outside India. At least बोल रहे हैं. The company must be able to pay current and future depositors in full as claim accrues. The fare of the company should not harm depositor interest. क्या काम में कंपनी इंडल्ज्ड है, उसे डिपॉजिटर के इंटरेस्ट को तो बिल्कुल भी इफेक्ट नहीं होना चाहिए, ठीक है. एंड जब डिपॉजिटर्स को पैसे देने की बात आएगी, चाहे आज पेमेंट है चाहे फ्यूचर की पेमेंट, फ्यूचर में फ्यूचर डिपॉजिटर्स है, वे मस्ट पे इन फुल. अगर आपके पास पैसे नहीं है पेमेंट करने के लिए, यू डू नॉट हैव मनी, हाउ डू यू कंसिडर योर सेल्फ एज अ मेंबर ऑफ द मनी मार्केट? ठीक है. एंड देर इज नो पॉलिसी रिक्वायरमेंट कि एटलीस्ट एक ऑफिस आउटसाइड इंडिया होना ही चाहिए, ठीक है, before giving any license. Making statement number 1 as incorrect, 2 and 3 are correct, B is the correct answer. One of the key condition is payment ability to the depositor. Company's affair must not detrimental to depositor. There is no such requirement about such branch abroad for licensing. Which of the following conditions must be satisfied before RBI grants a banking license under Section 22, subsection 3 of the BR Act? The proposed management must be in the public's interest. RBI must believe that granting the license will aid monetary stability and economic growth. License देने से पहले what all things will RBI consider? Question number 6, everybody. Both the statements are correct. If you are granting license, you have to see public interest. The most important point is public interest. We are working for the public at large. ठीक है? एंड लाइसेंस देने से पहले विल सी कि स्टेबिलिटी को हमें माइंड में हमेशा देखना है कि मॉनेटरी स्टेबिलिटी होनी चाहिए, इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ होनी चाहिए. RBI must be satisfied that the management is not prejudicial to public deposit interest. RBI must ensure the license promote monetary stability and economic growth. A group of investors is exploring setting up a new universal bank in the private sector in India. The proposal was initiated after the release of 2016 guidelines on tap licensing. Consider the following factors pertaining to their application and assess their permissibility and relevance under the RBI norms. Which of the following factors are aligned to RBI's 2016 guidelines? The promoter group includes an industrial house that proposes to hold more than 40% equity and in the bank through non-operative finance holding company. The proposed universal bank has foreign direct investment exceeding 74% through automatic route. The promoter group submitted a detailed business plan including capital structure and promote product offering along with risk management system. Question number 7. On tap licensing क्या होता है? Who will tell me on tap licensing क्या होता है? Question number 7. देखो, on tap licensing means RBI accept applications for banking license. ठीक है नम्रता जी, मैंने ऑलरेडी ना क्लास में बताया था, चलिए कोई बात नहीं, आई एक्सप्लेन इट अगेन. ठीक है. On tap licensing means RBI accept application of banking license throughout the year. इंस्टेड ऑफ ओपनिंग अ लिमिटेड विंडो, पहले क्या होता था, एक लिमिटेड विंडो हम लोग ओपन करते थे कि इस टाइम में ही आप अलाउड हो, आप एप्लीकेशन डालोगे तभी आपको बैंकिंग के लिए लाइसेंस मिलेगा. बट राइट नाउ फ्रॉम फ्यू ईयर्स हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, फ्रॉम 2016 बेसिकली व्हाट वी आर डूइंग इज कि आप कभी भी आके लाइसेंस के लिए अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. इट गिव्स एलिजिबल entities continuous opportunity कि they can come into the money market and start their banking businesses. RBI usually क्या करता था, RBI used to invite applications only during specific period. ठीक है कि इस पीरियड में ही अलाउड है और कुछ नॉट एवरी ईयर. इट्स ओके, इट इज ओके, इट इज टोटली फाइन नम्रता जी, इट इज टोटली फाइन. ठीक है. ठीक है. ऑन टैप क्या है, हमेशा खुला है. आप यू कैन कम, यू कैन अप्लाई टू गेट अ लाइसेंस एंड यू कैन गेट रजिस्टर्ड एज अ बैंकिंग कंपनी और बैंक. बिफोर क्या था 2016 देर वॉज स्पेसिफिक टाइम पीरियड, और जरूरी नहीं है कि हर साल ही आपको टाइम पीरियड मिले. देर वॉज सम ईयर्स व्हेन आरबीआई did not allow people to enter into money market. Now give me an answer for question number 7. अगर हम foreign direct investments, that is FDI, if it goes beyond 74%, it is not allowed. RBI and FEMA regulations के अंदर it is not allowed. ठीक है, making statement number 2 as incorrect. Let's see statement number 1. Statement number 1 is saying कि promoter group जो है includes industrial houses that proposes to hold more than 40% equity. Is that allowed? RBI allows जो NOFHCs होते हैं इनको स्पेशली व्हेन इंडस्ट्रियल हाउसेज आर इन्वॉल्व 40% के अराउंड इक्विटी उनको देना अलाउड होता है. However, equity holding thresholds and corporate structure are closely related, but this 40% is allowed. ठीक है. Next is statement number 3. A promoter group submits a detailed plan including capital structure and produce offering along with risk management. So this is a requirement. पहले आप बताओगे कि आप कैसे मनी को अर्न करने वाले हो. ठीक है. What is your plan? How you are going to get yourself in this banking business? How you are going to sustain? How you are going to pay out the money to the depositor? In what situation? What you are going to do? कैसे capital structure रहेगा? Everything you have to give it a plan for applying through a on tap licensing process. ठीक है. Making 1 and 3 as correct. A is the correct answer. FDI beyond 74% is not allowed as per RBI FEMA regulations for private sector banks. A comprehensive business plan is essential as per 2016 guidelines. RBI also allows use of NOFHC especially when industrial houses are involved. However, equity holding threshold and corporate structure are closely related. A group of investors is exploring setting up a new universal bank in private sector in India. The proposal was initiated after the release of 2016 guidelines on tap licensing. Consider the following factors pertaining to their application and assess their permissibility and relevance under RBI norms. Which of the following factors are aligned by the 2016 guidelines? The applicant meet the fit and proper criteria and have 10 years track record in financial services. The promoter group seeks exemption from prudential norms in first 3 years of operation to build skill. कि आप जो prudential norms है उनके साथ हमें relaxation दे दो for 3 years so that we can build skill. We can ask people to be to trust us and to put money in us. Give deposits to us. Question number 8. क्या ऐसे एग्जेम्पशन मांगा जा सकता है? ठीक है, कभी भी प्रूडेंशियल नॉर्म से आप एग्जेम्पशन नहीं मांग सकते बिकॉज प्रूडेंशियल नॉर्म्स सेट अप द इंटेग्रिटी ऑफ अ बैंक. आप ये नहीं कह सकते हो आरबीआई को, यू कैन नॉट आस्क द आरबीआई टू लेट गो ऑफ देयर रिक्वायरमेंट्स. मेकिंग स्टेटमेंट नंबर 2 as incorrect. Let's see statement number 1. So, if you are a person who wants to apply to be in the banking sector, there is a criteria known as fit and proper criteria, and this is a mandate to be followed. So, RBI mandates fit and proper criteria and financial services experience are not permissible as RBI require adherence to prudential norms from inspection to maintain systematic integrity. A microfinance institution and a group of professionals are evaluating conversions to or establishment of small finance banks. Consider the following scenario to assess whether they meet the RBI guidelines for on-tap licensing of SFBs. Which of the following statements are correct as per RBI guidelines? MFI proposes to incorporate the SFB as a public limited company under Companies Act 2013. The professional have a combined 3 years experience in banking and proposes to a capital base of 100 crores. The MFI intends to continue its existence micro loan book and expand its basic savings and payment services. Question number 9. A little difficult question, not very difficult, but a little. Let's see if you can answer this question. Question number 9. Question number 9, everybody. See, small finance banks must register as public limited companies under the Companies Act. Okay? Making statement number 1 as correct. Statement number 3 पे आते हैं. So, statement number 3 is saying कि MFI intends to continue its existing micro loan books and expand into basic savings and payment services. So, the scope of activities like microcredit, savings, and payments are allowed. Question statement number 2 के बारे में देखते हैं. RBI requires ये 100 professionals की 3 years का experience and capital of 100 crores. See, the capital requirement for this on-tap licensing is 200 crores. Okay. RBI requires significant experience and a minimum capital of 200 crores for new SFBs to come into business. Making statement number 1 and 3 as correct. B is not correct. SFBs must be registered as public limited companies under Companies Act. RBI requires significant experience and a minimum capital of 200 crores for SFBs. Scope of activities include microcredit, savings, and payments. Same paragraph, different lines. A group of seeks exemptions from the promoter contribution requirement by citing strong market reputation. कि हमें promoter contribution की need नहीं है, we have good market reputations. The proposed SFB will apply for a banking license under Section 22 of the BR Act 1949. कि आपको बैंकिंग लाइसेंस के लिए अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा. This is what statement number 2 is saying. आपको बिना लाइसेंस के नॉट अलाउड टू वर्क. मेकिंग स्टेटमेंट नंबर 2 एज करेक्ट. ग्रुप 6 एग्जामिशन, क्या एग्जामिशन मांगा जा सकता है? प्रमोटर्स में कंट्रीब्यूट अप टू लाइक 40%. ठीक है. एंड दिस 40% कैन नॉट बी रिलैक्स्ड. ये एग्जामिशन नहीं मिल सकता 40% के अमाउंट का. मेकिंग स्टेटमेंट नंबर 1 एज इनकरेक्ट, 2 एज करेक्ट. B is the correct answer. Promoter must contribute at least 40% of this tied up equity capital and cannot seek exemption. A banking license under Section 22 is mandatory for SFBs. Which of the following statement regarding the cancellation of the banking license by the RBI Act, RBI under Section 22 are correct? RBI can cancel a banking license only if the company ceases to operate or fails financially. RBI must always offer an opportunity to the bank to comply before cancelling the license regardless of the situation. कि क्या situation है doesn't matter. You have to give up the banks to listen to tell their story. अगर इमरजेंसी सिचुएशन है तो क्या तभी कैंसिलेशन से पहले सुनना पड़ेगा, बैंक को अपॉर्चुनिटी देनी पड़ेगी? A banking company can appeal to central government within 30 days of the cancellation decision. Question number 11. Easy question. Rukmani ji is saying that statement number 1 and 2 are correct. Rukmani ji, हर situation में there is no need to listen. There is no need to listen. If there is an emergency situation, you do not have to listen to the banks. Okay? The license can be cancelled even without listening to their explanation. And when we talk about statement number one, RBI can cancel banking license only if the bank ceases to operate or fail financially. Only लिखा है यहाँ पे, ठीक है? Making statement number one as incorrect. RBI can cancel the license not just for ceasing operations or failure, but also for non-compliance with the conditions. ठीक है? एंड आप 30 days के अंदर तो जा ही सकता है डिसीजन से रिलेटेड. आप आरबीआई के डिसीजन से एग्रीव्ड हैं, यू कैन रीच आउट टू द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया विद इन 30 days of such decision. Making only statement number 3 as correct. A is the correct answer. RBI can cancel the license not just to cease operation of financial failure but also for non-compliance with specific conditions under subsections. RBI may waive the opportunity to comply if the believer delay would be prejudicial to depositors or public interest. Subsection 5 provides that an appeal may be filed with the central government within 30 days. Question number 12. Which of the following statement regarding the cancellation of the banking license under RBI Act under Section 22 under Section 22 of the BR Act are correct? RBI can cancel the license if the conditions are subject to subsection 1, 3 or 3A are violated. The final decision lies with the central government. If the bank appeals over otherwise, the RBI's decision is final. The final decisions lies with the central government if the bank appeals. अगर बैंक ने अपील किया है, तो जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का डिसीजन होगा वो फाइनल होगा. इफ द बैंक हैज नॉट अपील्ड, आरबीआई का डिसीजन फाइनल होगा. क्वेश्चन नंबर 12. See, both the statements here are correct. Subsection 4 of section 22 allows cancellation if condition under section 1, 3 or 3A are violated. If appeal is filed, central government decision will be final. If not, RBI decision will be final. Which of the following statement related to opening and changing a banking company's place of business under section 23 are true? A temporary branch can be opened during festival without prior RBI's approval if it operates for under 1 month. देखो, एक महीने से ज़्यादा अगर आप अपना ब्रांच ऑफिस चेंज कर रहे हो तो आपको आरबीआई की अप्रूवल नीडेड है. बट ड्यू टू सम फेस्टिव एक्टिविटीज़ या आपके बैंक के आसपास जिससे आपका डे टू डे बिजनेस खराब हो रहा है, तो इस सिचुएशन में आप फॉर अ मंथ यू कैन शिफ्ट योर बैंक टू सम प्लेस एल्स. Bank incorporated outside India are exempted from RBI's permission from shifting existing branches in within same cities. Next is RBI may impose general or case specific conditions which granting permission to open a branch while granting permission to open a branch. Question number 13. Rukmani ji is saying all the statements here are correct. No, Rukmani ji, there is one statement that is wrong. Rajendra ji is saying A. Yes, A is the correct answer. Yes, absolutely correct, Rukmani ji. See, there is a specific exemption for a temporary place of business for up to 1 month during events like exhibition or melas. All banking companies, including foreign incorporated ones, require RBI's permission for any change in branch location except within the same city, so exemption does not apply in general. RBI can impose condition at a time of granting permission under Section 23, subsection 3. Which of the following statement related to opening or changing a banking company place of business under Section 23 of the BR Act are true? The RRB's application for branch licenses must be routed through NABARD, not directly to RBI. RBI can revoke previously granted permission if any imposed conditions are violated after giving a hearing. See, you have to listen to the other party. ठीक है, बट इमरजेंसी सिचुएशन में दिस हैव टू वाली सिचुएशन को हम हटा सकते हैं. क्वेश्चन नंबर 14. Both the statements here are correct. Section 23 4A specifies that applications for RRB must be routed through NABARD. RBI can revoke permissions if the bank fails to meet imposed condition after providing an opportunity to show cause. XYZ Banking Company, an Indian banking company, is proposing to expand its operation. It currently operates only in one state, where its principal place of business is in Nagpur, and have four other branches, two in the same district and two in different districts of same state. This bank was established in 2010. Recently, the bank has proposed to expand into Mumbai and Kolkata. So, from a non-metro city, they want to move to a metro city, and it is reviewing its compliance under Section 11 of the BR Act. Which of the following statement are correct? The bank is presently subject to the clauses for bank with all place of business in one state excluding Mumbai and Kolkata. The minimum required capital and reserve for its present structure before expansion cannot exceed rupees 5 lakhs. Upon expanding to Mumbai and Kolkata, the bank would need a minimum capital and reserve of rupees 10 lakh. Question number 15. Good question. Question number 15, everybody. See, here all the statements are correct. Okay? All the statements here are correct. Currently, the bank has all its business in one state with no branches in Mumbai and Kolkata. The maximum requirement for such bank is capped at 5 lakh. If it expands to Mumbai and Kolkata, the requirement moves to rupees 10 lakh. Again, same paragraph. Let's read different statements. Which of the following statements are correct? Since the bank was incorporated before 1962 amendment, it is exempted from rupees 5 lakh minimum paid up capital rule. If the Nagpur branch and one district branch are within 25 miles of each other, they may be deemed to be of the same district for capital computation. कैपिटल कंपटीशन के लिए क्या 25 माइल्स के विदिन होना is a requirement. Question number 16. See, the 25-mile rule applies between state, not in the same district. सेम डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स पे नहीं अप्लाई करता है, बिटवीन द सेम स्टेट्स अप्लाई कर, मतलब डिफरेंट स्टेट्स पे 25 माइल रूल्स को हम अप्लाई करते हैं. ठीक है. एंड द रुपीज 5 लाख का जो मिनिमम कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट है ना, ये 1962 अमेंडमेंट से है, बट दिस बैंक केम इनटू एग्जिस्टेंस इन कौन सा ईयर? 2010 में. ठीक है, नॉट बिफोर 1962. Making both the statements as incorrect. D is the correct answer. Rupees 5 lakh applies only to bank commencing after 1962 amendment. Since it began in 2010, it must comply. 25-mile rules applies between state, not within districts of same state. Question number 17. Alpha Bank Limited, a foreign bank incorporated in Singapore, operates 3 branches in India, one in Mumbai, one in Kolkata, one in Bangalore. The bank earns a net profit of rupees 10 crores from its Indian branches for financial year 24-25. The bank seeks clarity on its obligations regarding capital deposits with RBI, profit-based deposits, and consequences if it decides to exit the Indian market. Which of the following statements are true as per Section 11 of the BR Act? The Alpha Bank must deposit rupees 20 lakh with the RBI in cash or unencumbered approved securities. The bank must additionally deposit rupees 2 crore with RBI, that is 20% of Indian deposit. The deposit with RBI can be made entirely in cash or entirely in securities or a mix of both. Question number 17. Which statement do you think is correct? Are all the statements correct? Is there any statement that is not correct? What will be the correct answer? What is the correct answer here? See, all the statements here are correct. D is the correct answer. Rupees 20 lakh is a required deposit for foreign banks with presence in India, in the city like Mumbai or Kolkata. 20% of 10 crore is 2 crore must be deposited annually based on Indian profit. RBI allows flexibility between cash and unencumbered securities. Same paragraph, different statements. Which of the following statements are true as per Section 11 of the BR Act? In the event of cessation of business in India, the deposit forms part of bank's global asset and is governed by Singapore law. The RBI can permit exemption from deposit requirement for a limited period if alpha deposits are considered adequate. क्या ये जो exemption है दिया जा सकता है? Is this exemption allowed? Question number 18. Question number 18. Statement number B is correct. A is not. 2 is correct. 1 is not. Upon cessation, the deposit becomes part of the bank's India asset and creditors in India have first charge. The central government can exempt a foreign bank on RBI's recommendation. Which of the following statement correctly relate to shareholding restrictions and RBI approval in banking companies? A person can hold any percentage of shares in banking companies but cannot vote for more than 10% of the total voting rights unless RBI allows. The RBI can gradually raise the voting right ceilings from 10% to 49% under Section 12(2) of the BR Act. As per Section 12B of the BR Act, RBI approval is required before acquiring 5% or more shares in a banking company, including indirect holding. अगर आप 5% से ज़्यादा if you want a holding in a banking company, you need RBI's permission. And this holding can be direct as well as indirect. This is what statement number 2 is saying. Question number 19, everybody. Rajendra ji is saying A. Yes, Rajendra ji. A is the correct answer. 1 and 3 are correct. Section 12(2) limits voting rights on poll to 10%, but RBI may allow 26% on a phased manner. RBI can raise the ceiling up to 26%, not 49. Section 12B requires prior RBI approval for acquiring 5% or more, direct or indirect, including via relatives or associates. Which of the following statement correctly relate to shareholding restrictions and RBI approval in banking companies? RBI approval is not required if shares are acquired through inheritance and not by agreement of transaction. The Banking Act governs transfer of banking company shares only if the holding remains under 5% of the paid up capital. What is the correct answer for question number 20? Question number 20, everybody. See, neither of the statements here are correct. The requirement for approval does not exempt inheritance if it results in crossing 5% threshold. RBI intends to ensure fit and proper key ownership. All transfer, including those exceeding 5%, come under the Companies Act, but crossing 5% threshold mandates RBI approval regardless of the Act. Which of the following statements are correct in the context of regulations related to banking companies, shareholding reports, commission, and dividend declaration? The dividend can be declared even when net NPA above 7% of the CRAR is above 9% for the last 2 years. Net profit, net NPA, non-performing assets, is above 7% and CRAR is above 9%, and even then the dividend can be declared. And this amount is for last 2 years. Reports on shareholding of the CEO or MD must be submitted to RBI, including any change in holding or rights. Maximum commission, brokerage, or discount payable on issue of shares is capped at 2.5% of issue price. Is this statement, which statement is correct? Question number 21. Question number 21, everybody. See, easy question hai. See, if the NPA, that is non-performing asset, is exceeding 7%, dividend cannot be declared even if the CRAR is sufficient, एनपीए 7% है, 7% इज अ ह्यूज अमाउंट, ठीक है। नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट्स 7% है, डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर नहीं हो पाएगा। And the ceiling of 2.5% per issue share is revised under Section 13 of the BR Act, making statement number 3 as correct. Question number 21. Rajendra ji is saying B. Yes, B is the correct answer, Rajendra ji. Very good. If net NPA exceeds 7%, dividend cannot be declared even if CRAR is sufficient. RBI mandates shareholding reports of CEO, MDs, including change in holdings and variation in rights. The ceiling in 2.5% of the issue share price as per revised section 13 of the BR Act. Which of the following statements are correct in context of regulations related to BR, banking companies, shareholding reports, commission and dividend declaration? Even if a bank has profits, it cannot declare dividend if capitalized expenses are not written off. अगर आपके पास profit भी क्यों नहीं है and you have not written off the capital expenses, ठीक है, can the profit still be declared? RBI must place explicit restrictions for a bank to be barred from declaring any dividend. Explicit restrictions लगाता है कब dividend नहीं declare होगा. Question number 22. Question number 22. C. No, Rajendra ji. C is not the correct answer. A is the correct answer. RBI may or may not impose explicit restrictions. Other prudential norms can still restrict dividend declaration. Section 15 prohibits dividend declaration until capitalized expenses are written off. अगर आप capitalized expense को write off कर देंगे, and from that moment onwards you can declare the dividend. Next question. Which of the following statement are correct as per the BR Act regarding subsidiary and associate enterprises of the banking company? A banking company may form a subsidiary to carry on any business it deems fit, provided it cannot conflict Section 8. Section 8 के against you cannot go. ठीक है, RBI's prior permission and in some cases approval from central government is mandatory from a bank to form a subsidiary for non-core banking activity. A banking company cannot hold more than 30% of the paid up share capital to any company except in the case of subsidiary. अपनी सब्सिडरी के अलावा किसी और की कंपनी में 30% ज़्यादा शेयर का पेड अप कैपिटल को ओन नहीं कर सकती बैंकिंग कंपनी. दिस इज व्हाट स्टेटमेंट नंबर 3 इज सेइंग. क्वेश्चन नंबर 23. क्वेश्चन नंबर 23. क्वेश्चन नंबर 23. See, statement number 2 and 3 here are correct. Statement number 1 is not. Why? देखो, a banking company cannot freely form a subsidiary for any business it deems fit. मर्जी है, मेरे को लगता है कि this is what I think is allowed. So I think this is fit and I'll make this as a subsidiary. Section 19 restricts on formation of subsidiary only to activities permitted under sections 1A to O. Banking business exclusively outside India with RBI's prior permission. Other businesses specifically permitted by RBI with prior central government approval. Additionally, these activities must be conducive to the spread of banking or in public interest. Statement number two is correct because formation of subsidiary for non-core activities require prior permission of the RBI and where applicable approval to the central government. It ensures that banks do not enter into unrelated commercial ventures. Section Statement number 3 is correct. Under Section 19, subsection 2 sets a ceiling of shareholding. Banks cannot hold more than 30% of the company's paid up capital or the bank's own paid up capital and reserve, except in the case of subsidiary. There is to prevent This is to prevent excessive exposure to non-banking companies कि हम बहुत ज़्यादा exposure नहीं दें. Question number 24. A private sector bank, Sunrise Bank Limited, recently appoints its new board of directors. However, the Reserve Bank of India conducted a review and observed the following facts. Reserve Bank ने कुछ review conduct किया and they have observed some facts. And those facts are as follows. Out of 10 directors, only 4 possess expertise in law, banking, or accountancy, while 3 others are business holding beneficial interest of rupees 7 lakh rupees in a trading company. Next is two directors had previously served on the board continuously for 10 years. Next is only one newly appointed director has earlier been removed from the position of whole-time director in the same bank just 2 years ago. आपने पहले इसी बैंक में इनको हटाया and now you want to appoint this person again. A bank argues that even if the board has not fully compliant, its decision remains valid. The RBI directed the bank to reconstitute the board. However, the bank took no actions even after 60 days. Which of the following statements are correct as per the BR Act provisions regarding board of directors of the banking company? The appointment of the directors with beneficial interest of rupees 7 lakhs in a trading company qualifies them for being board members. कि आपका beneficial interest है 7 लाख रुपीस तक का तो आप board member बन सकते हो. This is what statement number 1 is saying. The continued service of two directors for 10 years is valid and there is no time limit under the act. कि कोई specific time limit नहीं दे रखा, हमने कहा है कि experienced person होना चाहिए. The director removed from the past post of whole-time director just 2 years ago cannot be reappointed until 4 years have passed. Is this a requirement? 4 years की requirement है क्या? Question number 24. Yes, there is a requirement कि अगर आपने किसी person को हटाया है managerial position से तो आपको at least 4 years का gap देना पड़ेगा उस person को दोबारा appoint करने के लिए. यहाँ पे इस person को appoint होने के लिए सिर्फ 2 days and 2 months दिए गए हैं, 2 years sorry, 2 years दे गए हैं, not 4 years, making statement number 3 as correct. Let's talk about statement number 2. ठीक है, कंटिन्यूस सर्विस टू डायरेक्टर्स 10 years तक की है इसलिए उनके लिए दिस इज वैलिड एंड देयर इज नो टाइम लिमिट अंडर द एक्ट. क्या यहाँ पे कोई टाइम लिमिट नहीं दे रखा है इस एक्ट के अंदर? देयर इज अ टाइम लिमिट गिविंग, मेकिंग स्टेटमेंट नंबर the act limits the term of 8 years for directors excluding chairman of whole time director serving for 10 years breaches the rule. ठीक है, directors with beneficial interest exceeding 5 lakhs or 10% of the company capital in trading company is disqualified. So holding 7 lakhs in a trading company disqualifies them. Okay. 2 years the person removed from position of full-time director cannot be reappointed as director for 4 years from the date of removal. The Act limits the term of 8 years for directors, excluding chairman or whole-time director serving for 10 years breach. This is a rule. Same paragraphs, different statements. Last question from Unit 2. Which of the following statements are correct as per the BR Act provisions regarding board of directors of the banking company? The bank claims about board decision being valid despite composition defect is correct. तो बैंक कह रहा है कि जो कॉम्पोजिशन है देयर माइट बी अ डिफेक्ट इन दैट, बट जो इनके डिसीजंस है वो वैलिड होंगे. Statement number 2 is saying RBI is empowered to remove non-compliant director and appoint new ones if the bank fails to comply within 2 months. So if the bank has been asked by the RBI कि आप अपने जो non-compliant director ने हटा के दूसरे person को ले आइए, and the bank does not do so, can the RBI appoint in the place of bank new director को RBI खुद appoint कर सकते हैं? Yes, the RBI can. RBI definitely can. Making both the statements as correct. Both the statements here are correct. Uh, Sorry. Bank claims about board decision being valid despite composition defect in director. Sorry. See, bank claim is not valid. I'm sorry. The statement number 1 is not correct. Statement number 2 is correct. While proceedings are not invalid due to composition defects retrospectively, this does not excuse non-compliance with the composition requirement. The statements need disqualification. RBI may order reconstitution if the bank fails to act within 2 months. RBI can remove director by law if required and appoint new directors. इसके बाद you have 7 more questions that you will do yourself. All you have to do is go to the app, download this PPT, read the एक भाई आप सब कुछ read कर लेंगे जो notes provide कर रखे हैं. The notes are prepared by me. All you need to do is go and read those notes and do the rest of the questions yourself. Let's start with unit 3. Do you have any doubt in unit 2 till now? Any doubt in unit 2? Any doubt in unit 2? Rukmini ji, Namrata ji, anybody having any doubt? We'll start with unit 3. We'll end unit 3 and the remaining of the units will be dealt in next class. Okay, we'll try to complete as much as possible. So let's start with unit 3. So again, we know that the RBI Act and the BR Act gives power to the RBI to act as per the apex as the apex bank in India. ठीक है, अगेन बैंक को डिपॉजिट देते हैं, डिपॉजिटर्स मनी डिपॉजिट करते हैं एंड बैंक उस मनी को आगे लोन में दे देता है. रीड द नोट्स. ठीक है, बैंक एंड द बैंकिंग कंपनी विल नॉट गिव लोन्स टू एनी ऑफ इट्स डायरेक्टर्स और एनी बिजनेस विच हैव एनी डायरेक्टर्स इंटरेस्ट. हम बैंक अपने डायरेक्टर्स को कभी भी डायरेक्टली या इनडायरेक्टली लोन नहीं दे सकता. दिस इज नॉट अलाउड. ठीक है, डेफ अकाउंट क्या होता है? डेफ अकाउंट मीन्स विच इज एन नॉट ऑपरेटिव अकाउंट फॉर 10 years. कोई पर्सन उसको यूज ही नहीं कर रहा है. आफ्टर दिस 10 years टाइम एक्सपायर, बैंक विल वेट फॉर 3 more months फॉर समवन टू कम एंड क्लेम दिस अमाउंट. अगर कोई नहीं आता है तो ये डेफ फंड्स में शिफ्ट कर देगा इस अमाउंट को. एंड इफ somebody comes in the future date and shows कि this I am this person, I am the person who has the right over this money, bank will see the proofs. If those proofs are sufficient, bank will give the money to the person showing the proof. Okay? Let's see the questions. Which of the following statements regarding the RBI power to issue directions under the BR Act are correct? RBI's direction under section 21 and 35A are statutory and binding on banks, even if the circulars do not explicitly state the source of power. Even if a circular issued by the RBI does not mention it was issued in public interest or under a specific statute, it can still have the force of law if its statutory basis can be reasonably established. The RBI can issue directions to both banks and their customers under Section 35A, and violation by either can lead to contract invalidation. Question number 1 from Unit 3. What will be the answer for this question? Question number 1. See, statement number 1 को एक बार हम दोबारा देखेंगे, ठीक है. RBI डायरेक्शन दे सकता है एंड दीज आर बाइंडिंग, दे आर बाइंडिंग. RBI के डायरेक्शंस बाइंडिंग होते हैं. Even if circulars, yes. Rajendra ji is saying B. No, Rajendra ji, B is not the correct answer. It is C. The correct answer is C. ठीक है. RBI directions under section 21 and 35A are statutory and binding even if the circular does not cite legal provisions explicitly. इस स्पेसिफिक लॉ नहीं मेंशन करा कि मेरे को इस लॉ से इस सेक्शन से पावर मिली है, बट जो सर्कुलर्स इशू हो रखे हैं उन वो बाइंडिंग इफेक्ट के होते हैं. The courts have held that absence of explicit mention of public interest or legal citation does not invalidate a director as long as the source of power is traceable to relevant law like RBI Act or the BR Act. RBI's regulatory jurisdiction is over banks, not customers. Directions issued under Section 35A do not exceed directly to bank customers, and violation do not automatically invalidate customer contract. Customer को नहीं ऊपर नहीं लगता है RBI का जो guidelines है. It applies to the bank. It is for the banks, not for the customers. Question number 2. Which of the following statement regarding the RBI power to issue directions under BR Act are correct? The effect of RBI's binding instruction as per Supreme Court's decision is prospective unless there is a specific statutory provision enabling retrospective application. Section 36 of the BR Act empowers the RBI to prohibit banks from certain transactions and to provide them general advice even outside the scope of statutory direction. Question number 2. What is the correct answer? Rajendra ji is saying B. No, Rajendra ji, B is not the correct answer. Both the statements here are correct. There you go. Why? Supreme Court has affirmed in the RBI statutory direction apply prospectively. That is, जिस दिन से आई है उस दिन के बाद से लगेगा. Prospectively means from the day it comes, it will apply from that day onwards, unless the provision allows for retrospective enforcement. Retrospective means जिस दिन से आया है बट उसके बैक डेट से भी it is allowed. अगर लॉ में स्पेसिफिकली लिखा है that I am applicable retrospectively, लीगल प्रोविजन में लिखा है that I am applicable retrospectively, only in that situation law retrospectively होगा. Otherwise the law is always considered to be prospective in nature. Section 36(1)(a) enables the RBI to caution, prohibit or advise banks on specific transactions independent of formal statutory directions under Section 21 and 35A. ABC Bank Limited has received a regulatory inspection and compliance audit. The auditor raised question based on the following situation and requests the bank to justify its actions and decisions. तो एक audit हो रहा था एक बैंक का and the questions were raised on the bank to explain why this thing have been done by the bank. The bank accepts the deposit from senior citizens for 20 years with a specific interest rate above the what is prescribed. ठीक है, it is important statement. 20 years का एक senior citizen से आपने deposit ले लिया है and at a special interest rate, special rate of interest पे आपने वो issue कर दिया है, deposit accept कर लिया. It refuses to return a customer rupees 3 lakh saving balance within 90 days after RBI imposes a moratorium. मना कर रहे हैं, नहीं देंगे हम आपको वापस. क्यों नहीं दोगे? Even the moratorium has been imposed, 90 days have been passed, and how can you say no to giving a person's amount? You have a duty towards the customer, right? Towards the customer for the public interest. It credits rupees 8 lakhs from inoperative deposit account, not operative for 11 years, to its PNL account. Do we shift the amount to the PNL account or to the deaf funds? saying the balance were too old to claim. On request, it accept cash deposit of rupees 60 lakhs in an newly opened fixed deposit account from a customer without completing KYC formality. How can you accept somebody's money without completing the KYC requirements? Which of the following actions are in violation? Violative क्या है? What actions do you think are violative? See, B, C, and D definitely are violative. Rajendra ji, please give reading to statement number one as well. Do you think that is not violative? Specific special rates आप किसी senior citizen को दे सकते हैं. Yes, all the statements are violative. C. Accepting deposit of 20 years violates RBI directions on maximum deposit period and offering unprescribed rates contravenes regulated interest rate norms. Not returning 3 lakhs within 90 days post moratorium breach the DCGC Act, which mandates return up to 5 lakhs within 90 days of the moratorium. Crediting inoperative banks to PNL account is not allowed. आप डेफ फंड्स में डालेंगे, ठीक है, एंड केवाईसी के बिना you cannot move ahead. Which of the following statements related to deaf are correct? Amount lying in dormant saving, current or recurring deposit accounts for 10 years or more are eligible to be transferred to deaf. Traveler checks and similar instrument with no maturity period must be transferred to deaf after 10 years. जो इंस्ट्रूमेंट जिनकी कोई मेच्योरिटी डेट नहीं होती ना, वो कभी भी डेफ में नहीं भेजे जा सकते. वाई? बिकॉज आपकी कोई मेच्योरिटी डेट नहीं है, तो आप कैसे उसको कह सकते हो कि ये इन ऑपरेटिव है. ठीक है. अनक्लेम्ड NEFT क्रेडिट, ATM related unreconciled credit balance and salary deposit can be transferred to deaf. जिसको आपने NEFT क्रेडिट को, the NEFT credit that has not been asked by you, that has not been claimed, ठीक है, या उसको क्या हम डेफ में भेज सकते हैं? Yes, A is the correct answer. 10 years तक इनऑपरेटिव है. देखो, अमाउंट आउटस्टैंडिंग अगेंस्ट ट्रैवलर्स चेक्स और सिमिलर इंस्ट्रूमेंट विद नो मैच्योरिटी आर एक्सक्लूडेड फ्रॉम being transferred to deaf even if unclaimed for 10 years. A wide variety of unclaimed balances such as NEFT credits, unclaimed ATM transactions, demand drafts, Sunday deposit, Vastro account, etc. are included for deaf transfer if dormant for 10 years. Which of the following statement regarding the deaf are correct? Rupee proceeds of foreign currency deposit once converted are eligible for deaf transfer after 10 years. Interest on eligible deposit transferred to deaf are revised to 3% per annum starting from May 11, 2021. Question number 5. Rajendra ji is saying C. Yes. C is the correct answer. Both the statements here are correct. देखो, rupee proceeds of foreign currency deposit after conversions are covered under DEF if unclaimed for 10 years. The interest payment payable on transferred balances was revised to 3% per annum with effect from May 11, 2021 after previous rate of 4% and 3.5%. ठीक है. Next is Mrs. Asha Devi, a senior citizen, maintained a fixed deposit of 15 lakhs in a nationalized bank and had nominated her grandson Arjun for the nominee under Section 45ZA of the BR Act. She also kept some family jewelry and property documents. Yes, you are still in race. So you get good marks here and your average will be met. Okay. She also kept some family jewelry and property documents in a safety locker jointly operated with her daughter in law Meera, with instructions for either or survivor operation, and nominated her granddaughter Priya as the nominee. Upon her passing away, the following actions are and claims arose. Arjun approached the bank with a death certificate and claimed the fixed deposit amount. Meera and Priya both requested access to locker and removal of contents. A court case was filed later by Asha Devi's son Rajesh, claiming that Arjun and Priya had no rights to retain the money or content and that he, as a legal heir, should inherit. The bank, after verifying documents, must paid the amount to Arjun and allowed access to locker as per nomination and joint operation clause. Rajesh alleged that bank had wrongfully disbursed funds and locker contents. Which of the following statements are legally accurate regarding the actions and obligations of banks and parties involved? The payment of the fixed deposit by Arjun by to Arjun by bank constitutes a full and final settlement. Legal settlement. Legal full and final legal settlement. Can bank do legal settlements? Or is the court required to do the legal settlements of ownership? Priya's right to remove the contents from locker as nominee is not absolute and may still be contested by the legal heirs. See, अगर हम सक्सेशन लॉ के हिसाब से जाएं तो लीगल एयर्स हैव द राइट ओवर एनीबॉडी नॉमिनी से पहले भी लीगल एयर्स के पास राइट आता है. The bank is considered to have discharged its obligation validly under the BR Act by making payment to Arjun and allowing local access to Priya and Meera. Meera के पास देखो right है because she is a survivor. She is the daughter-in-law of Asha Devi and she has a right to open the locker and have the access to the locker. ठीक है. सो जो बैंक ने जो अपनी ऑब्लिगेशंस डिस्चार्ज करी है अर्जुन एंड मीरा एंड प्रिया के अगेंस्ट, इज दिस अलाउड? क्वेश्चन नंबर 6. यस इट इज. बैंक ने अपना काम पूरा करा है. यू कैन नॉट आस्क बैंक कि आपने अपने ऑब्लिगेशंस पूरी करी है. व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट लीगल सेटलमेंट्स आर डन बाय द कोर्ट मेकिंग स्टेटमेंट नंबर 1 एज इनकरेक्ट, 2 and 3 आर करेक्ट. ठीक है. एज पर प्रोविजंस ऑफ सेक्शन 45ZC, 45ZE and relevant rules, nominees access to locker content is as trustee. Legal heirs may contest the claim and Priya's right is not absolute. The bank followed the correct process, verified death certificate, ensure instructions were followed, and assessed records under proper clause. Hence, the bank discharge is valid. Nomination under Section 45ZA only gives the nominee the right to receive the deposit from the bank, not the ownership of the amount. The claim of legal heir like Rajesh can override Arjun's receipt. Again, same paragraph, different statements. Even though nominee was made, legal heirs like Rajesh may still claim rights over the money or article received by the nominee. Bank must ensure that there are no court order restraining access and that nominees act as trustee of legal heirs, not as an absolute owner. कि आप ओनर नहीं हो, आप नॉमिनी हो, यू आर नॉट द ओनर, यू आर जस्ट एज अ ट्रस्टी ऑफ द लीगल एयर, ट्रस्टी की तरह आप एक्ट कर रहे हैं. Yes, C is the correct answer, Rajendra ji. Very, very good, very good. Both the statements are correct. Supreme Court ruling and legal interpretation clearly states that nominee hold in trust for legal years. Rajesh has the right to legally contest and claim money or article. Banks are obligated to check for restraining orders, establish identity, and clarify the nominees that they act as a trustee. This is an operational and legal requirement. Which of the following statement correctly reflect the Reserve Bank of India regulatory powers regarding loans and advances under the BR Act? RBI can direct banks on a maximum amount that can be lent to a borrower based on the bank's capital and deposit. कितना मैक्सिमम अमाउंट आप दे सकते हो ये आरबीआई बता सकती है बैंक्स को. RBI can issue binding directions only to public sector banks and not to private or foreign banks. Q. RBI may impose margins to be maintained in respect of secured advances. Question number 8. सी आरबीआई डायरेक्शंस किसी के ऊपर भी इम्पोज कर सकती है, बैंक होने चाहिए हो आप, कस्टमर्स के ऊपर डेफिनेटली नहीं कर सकते हैं. Yes, A is the correct answer. Very good, Rajendra ji. RBI direction applies to all banking companies, not just public ones. RBI can cap the amount of advances based on the paid up capital, serves, and deposits. RBI can situate the marginal requirement for secured lending. Which of the following statement correctly reflects the RBI regulatory power regarding loans and advances under the BR Act? RBI is empowered to determine policies in the interest of banking policy, depositor, and public interest. RBI direction may also cover the terms and conditions of guarantee issued by the banks. What is the correct answer for question number 9? C. Yes, C is the correct answer. Rajendra ji, very, very good. RBI may act in public interest, deposit interest, or to maintain sound banking policy. RBI can regulate the term of financial guarantees extended by banks. Which of the following are prohibited under Section 20 of the BR Act regarding loans and advances? A bank granting loan to company in which one of its director holds substantial interest. मैंने आपको स्टार्टिंग ऑफ द यूनिट बताया था कि बैंक डायरेक्टली या इनडायरेक्टली अपने डायरेक्टर को किसी भी तरीके से लोन नहीं दे सकता है. ठीक है. अ बैंक एडवांसेस मनी टू अ फर्म वेयर वन ऑफ इट्स डायरेक्टर इज अ गारंटर. अ बैंक ग्रांटिंग लोन सिक्योर्ड अगेंस्ट इट्स ओन शेयर. क्या प्रोहिबिटेड है? व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज प्रोहिबिटेड? क्या लोन दे सकता है अपने शेयर्स पे? क्या डायरेक्टर जो है उसके किसी और कंपनी में उसमें आप एडवांसेस दे सकते हैं? एंड सब्सटैंशियल इंटरेस्ट अगर बैंकिंग कंपनी के डायरेक्टर का किसी फर्म में, तो क्या वहाँ पे लोन दिया जा सकता है? क्वेश्चन नंबर 10. सी डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्टली एवरीथिंग इज नॉट अलाउड, है ना? Yes, D is the correct answer. All the statements are correct. Sub violation में है. Loans on security of banks on share are explicitly barred. Banks cannot advance to firms where its directors are guarantors. Banks cannot lend to companies where directors have substantial interest. Which of the following are prohibited under Section 20 of the BR Act regarding loans and advances? A bank providing loan to a company registered under Section 25 of the BR Act, even if the director is on its board. डायरेक्टर भी बोर्ड पे है बट क्या देखो सी अगेन डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्टली बैंक लोन टू डायरेक्टर इज नॉट अलाउड अ बैंक एक्सटेंडिंग लोन टू एन इंडिविजुअल guaranteed by a director of the bank. Question number 11. Question number 11. Both statement number 1 is incorrect, 2 is correct. Companies registered under section 25, now section 8, that is देखो non profit organizations होते हैं section 8 की companies are exempted from this prohibition. उन पे ये prohibition नहीं लगता है. Even indirect lending via guarantee individual is restricted. Which of the following statement accurately relates to selective credit control and restrictions on remission of debt? SCC is aimed at curbing speculative hoarding of essential goods using bank finances. SCC applies to commodities like cotton, jaggery, edible oil, among others. Banks can remit debt to debtors freely if the amount is below certain threshold. Ki you are a director, so let's give you loan because the amount that you are asking for is below the threshold. Is this allowed? Question number 12. Question number 12. Directly, indirectly, loans to director is not allowed. This is the rule. Okay? This is the rule. But because it is below some certain threshold, is it allowed? See, SCC is used to prevent price inflation caused by speculative stockpiling. Yes, C is the correct answer, Rajendra ji. Very good. SEC is used to prevent price inflation caused by speculative stockpiling. SEC has traditionally covered essential goods including jaggery, food, grains, etc. No threshold exemption exists. RBI permission is always required for remission to director to related entities. Which of the following statement regarding accurately relate to SEC and restrictions on remission of debt? Prior RBI approval is mandatory before any bank can write off loan on its directors or related parties. Any remission of debt made in violation of Section 20A is considered legally invalid. देखो जनरल रूल यू आर नॉट अलाउड टू गिव एनी अमाउंट टू द डायरेक्टर चाहे वो थ्रेशोल्ड से ज़्यादा हो थ्रेशोल्ड के अंदर हो थ्रेशोल्ड कम हो आरबीआई के अप्रूवल की रिक्वायरमेंट है ठीक है एनी रिमिशन ऑफ डेट मेड इन वायलेशन ऑफ सेक्शन 20A इज कंसिडर्ड लीगली इनवैलिड आप किसी भी तरह का डेट दे रहे हो टू डायरेक्टर ठीक है ये वायलेशन माना जाएगा सेक्शन 20 को and it is legally invalid and such debt given to the director will be invalid making both the statements as correct. Remission without RBI approval are void. Section 20A mandates prior RBI approval for debt remission to directors. Which of the following statement describes the RBI's power and legal position regarding regulations of interest rate? RBI derives its authority to regulate interest rate on both loans and deposit under Section 21 and 35A of the BR Act. Discrimination among different classes of borrowers or depositor is legally acceptable if the result is operational convenience. In Harjeet Singh versus Union of India, Supreme Court ruled that interest concession must be extended equally to bank and financial institution borrowers. Question number 14 is on the screen. Please give an answer for this question. Question number 14. See. when we talk about the borrowers, operational convenience है, इस वजह से we can give the amount to the borrower, specifically to any borrower. This is not allowed. Just because this is something is convenient to you is not allowed. ठीक है. Making statement number 1 and 3 correct is the correct answer. Discrimination based by must be justifiable in law and not merely due to operational convenience. Supreme Court held that riot victim borrowing from financial institution must be treated on par with other borrowing from bank. RBI derives authority from 21 read with 35A for regulating interest on loans and deposit. Which of the following statement correctly describes the RBI's power and legal position regarding regulations of interest rate? RBI can issue directions on interest rates only if satisfied that it is public interest and allied with banking policy. Aligned with banking policy. Section 21A of the BR Act allows courts to reopen interest transaction between banks and borrowers if rate seems excessive. If the rates are excessive of the loan, can the Bank BR Act allow the court to open the transaction? See, general rule is bank के matters में ना जो बैंक के matters में चाहे interest rate हो चाहे कुछ भी हो कोर्ट ना इंटरफेयर नहीं करते हैं बट अगर ऐसा कोई एक्ट हो रहा है जो प्रॉपर इनजस्टिस प्रोवाइड कर रहा है टू एनी पार्टी वहां पे कोर्ट कैन इंटरफेयर. So if the bank rates are excessive, the courts can reopen the transaction. The court can reopen the transaction. But in only that situation if it is detrimental to the public interest. देखो कोर्ट्स ना जनरली नहीं इंटरफेयर करते मैटर्स में. कोर्ट्स डू नॉट इंटरफेयर इन द मैटर ऑफ द बैंक. ठीक है. बैंक को जिस रोड पे बैंक भी बिजनेस करने के लिए बैठे हैं राइट. सो दे वांट दे कैन गिव लोन ऑन एक्सट्रीम अमाउंट्स एज वेल. एक्सट्रीम रेट्स आपने एक्सेप्ट किया ना. यू हैव एक्सेप्टेड यू हैव टू पे फॉर दैट. But if situation comes that the other party is facing such hardship that it cannot overcome that, it cannot pay that amount, या इतना injustice हो रहा है उसके साथ that he is getting lost. Suppose the loan amount is 10 rupees and he has to pay 50 rupees for that to return that amount. That will be wrong. ठीक है. इन सच सिचुएशन ओनली जब बहुत डेट्रीमेंटल सिचुएशन आएगी तभी कोर्ट इंटरफेयर करेगा. मेकिंग स्टेटमेंट नंबर 2 इनकरेक्ट है ना. प्रोविजंस नहीं है ना यहाँ पे. देखो RBI must satisfy that directions serves public interest or banking policy used before issuance. Section 21A prevents courts from reopening interest rate merely because it is excessive. The amount should be detrimental. ठीक है. Which of the following statements accurately distinguishes the various interest rate system adopted by banks under the RBI regulation? The base rate system replaced BPRL in 2010 to improve transparency in lending rates. Under MCLR, banks must price all fixed rate loans regardless of tenor using MCLR benchmark. The MCLR system incorporates tenor premium and negative carry due to CRR. Question number 16. See, MCLR क्या होता है? Is a benchmark interest rate system used by banks in India to determine the minimum lending rates for loan. It replaced the earlier base rate system from 1st April 2016, and this was introduced by the RBI. Sorry. This was introduced by whom? The RBI. Base system को replace करा, and this system got came into power. ठीक है? Got applicable. So this system incorporates tenor premium and negative carry due to CRR. Yes, it does. Okay. Yes, it does. Banks under MCLR, banks must price all fixed rate loans regardless of tenor using the MCLR benchmark. So when we talk about the MCLR benchmark now, the fixed rate loan is above 3 years, which are above 3 years are exempted from MCLR. The fixed rate loans above 3 years are exempted from MCLR. So the terms, the terminology यहाँ पे लिखा है tenor is regardless. We do not see how much long the term of the loan is. This is not correct, making statement number 2 as incorrect. ठीक है? Fixed base rate replaced BRBL from July 1, 2010 to improve transparency. Fixed rate loans above 3 years are exempted from MCLR. MCLR includes marginal cost, CRR cost, operational cost, and tenure premium. ठीक है? Which of the following statements accurately distinguishes the various interest rate system adopted by bank under the RBI regulations? The external benchmark regime allows banks to offer loans linked to RBI repo rate or T-bill yields. Transition to external benchmarking from MCLR base rate for existing floating loans is allowed without foreclosure charges. Are they allowed without foreclosure charges? Question number 17. Yes, they are. Statement number 2 is correct. Same goes for statement number 1. It is also correct. Statement number 1, 2 both are correct. External benchmark includes repo rate and treasury bill yields. Eligible floating rate loans can switch to external benchmark without foreclosure charges. ये आप दोनों पॉइंट आप लर्न कर लीजिए प्लीज. Next, which of the following statement correctly describes RBI's regulations on deposit interest rate? SCBs and small finance banks may offer differential deposit rates for single term deposit of rupees 3 crore and above. Payment of interest on current accounts was always permitted until RBI prohibited it post 2008. Cooperative banks may offer higher interest to certain depositors like their employees. Cooperative banks may offer higher interest. Can they do this? Question number 18. Question number 18. See, cooperative banks can offer higher rates to selected categories like employees. They definitely can. Next is RBI क्या prohibit करता है? Does the RBI the payment interest on current accounts are always permitted until RBI prohibits it. See, RBI prohibited interest on current accounts, not permitted previously either. ना पहले allowed था ना अब allowed है, कभी भी allowed नहीं था. ठीक है, this was not allowed. So question number 18 A is the correct answer. SCBs and SFBs are allowed to offer different rates from deposit which are equal to or greater than 3 crores. RBI prohibits interest on current accounts, not permitted previously either. Cooperative banks may offer higher interest. ठीक है? Which of the following statement correctly describes RBI's regulation on deposit interest rates? RRBs can offer differential rates for deposit starting from 1 CR and above. RBI's directions under Section 35A must align with public interest or banking policy. जो 35A में डायरेक्शंस है पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट और बैंकिंग पॉलिसीज के हिसाब से होना चाहिए. देखो, बैंकिंग पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट इज द मेन एम ऑफ आरबीआई, है ना. द प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट इज द मेन एम, एंड द मनी मार्केट को रेगुलेशन भी एक पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट का ही काम है. Just money is circulated properly in the market, this is again a work for public interest, right? So here both the statements are correct. देखो, RRBs can offer differential deposit rates from 1 CR and above. This is a statement that you need to learn because इस statement से related question आ सकते हैं exam में. RBI's direction must be backed by public interest or depositor banking policy consideration, because RBI का काम क्या है? To look out for the public at large. Which of the following statement correctly reflect the interaction between RBI's directives and court intervention regarding interest rates? The Usurious Loan Act 1918 is still applicable to bank loans for rate scrutiny in special cases. Section 21A of the BR Act overrides state level debt relief laws and the Usurious Loan Act. Court cannot interfere in the bank interest rate if RBI directive prescribe both minimum and maximum limit. General rule, we have talked about this, that the general rule is court do not interfere. Court do not interfere in the matters of the interest rate. And जब minimum and maximum already दे रखा है तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं करेंगे court interfere. Is the Usurious Loan Act still applicable? See, Usurious Loan Act protects borrowers from excessive interest rates and unfair loan terms. It gives court the power to reduce the interest amount or even reopen loan transaction if the interest charged is unreasonable. But this act is now removed. This act is now removed. So this act is not no more applicable, making statement number 1 as incorrect. Statement number 2 कह रहा है Section 21A of the BR Act overrides state level debt relief laws and the Usurious Act, because Usurious Loan Act हटाया था and the BR Act came. So जो 21A है BR Act का, this overrides. Yes, Rajendra ji, B is the correct answer. Very, very good. Section 21A provides overriding effect against state debt laws and usurious interest laws. Section 21A removes court's power to scrutinize banks' rate under Usurious Loan Act. When RBI fixes both maximum and minimum rates, court generally cannot interfere. Court in general भी नहीं interfere करता है. Which of the following rate statement correctly reflects the interaction between RBI's directives and court intervention regarding interest rates? Section 21A was upheld by Supreme Court in Corporation Bank versus DS Goda. Banks must compound interest on a half-yearly basis as per Supreme Court directions. Do we compound interest on half-yearly basis? Do we do that? See, एनुअल कंपाउंडिंग होती है, हाफ ईयरली कंपाउंडिंग नहीं होती है ना. एनुअल कंपाउंडिंग होती है इंटरेस्ट की, इट इज नॉट हाफ ईयरली, मेकिंग स्टेटमेंट नंबर 2 एज करेक्ट. When we talk about the above case, that is this cooperative bank versus DS Goda, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सेक्शन 21 को अपहेल्ड करा था, 21A को अपहेल्ड किया था, ठीक है. इट वाज, सो यू नीड टू लर्न दिस केस नेम, कोऑपरेटिव बैंक वर्सेस डीसी गोडा. सो statement number 1 is correct, 2 is not, A is the correct answer. Supreme Court upheld the section 21A validity in Corporation Bank versus DS Goda. The Supreme Court allows annual compounding, not half yearly, based on RBI's direction. Which of the following statement related to RBI's internet banking guidelines are correct? Give me a second, please. चलिए, the information security officer and the information system auditor are expected to conduct regular penetration testing, which may include simulated attacks and password cracking attempts. Important question है ये, ठीक है, इंटरनेट बैंकिंग से रिलेटेड. A valid account opening request received through internet banking can be approved digitally without physical verification if biometric login is enabled. PKI, that is Public Key Infrastructure, is most recommended security method for secure internet banking transaction. Question number 22. Important question, good question. ऐसे क्वेश्चंस आपको एग्जाम में देखने के लिए मिलेंगे. क्वेश्चन नंबर 22. हाँ जी, राजेंद्र जी. Yes, A is the correct answer. Very, very, very good. 1 and 3 are correct. 2 is not. See, RBI guidelines states that penetration tests should be periodically conducted by information security officer or auditor and should include testing for vulnerability like DDoS, password cracking and ethical hacking. Despite technological advancement, RBI mandates physical verification of customer identity before account opening, even if request is received online. आपको एक बारी कोर्ट बैंक में आना पड़ेगा, ठीक है? Technologically advanced we are there, we are very technologically advanced. But you cannot just open an account sitting at home. There has to be a physical verification done. RBI emphasizes that PKI is the preferred technology for authenticating secure interest banking transaction. Which of the following statement related to RBI's internet banking guidelines are correct? RBI requires banks to report all forms of security breaches or system failures and may conduct inspection accordingly. ठीक है. Banks may participate in interbank statement gateways for internet payments only if they are part of the check clearing system in India. Question number 23. देखो, आरबीआई इंटरनेट बैंकिंग से रिलेटेड ना काफ़ी गाइडलाइंस हैं एंड यहाँ से इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन आएगा बिकॉज यू नो आजकल बहुत ज़्यादा हैकिंग एंड बहुत ज़्यादा इंटरनेट फ्रॉड चल रहा है. यहाँ से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन डेफिनेटली आएगा. सो यू नीड टू बी वेरी 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 फोकस्ड ऑन दीज क्वेश्चंस. क्वेश्चन नंबर 23. Both the statements here are correct. As per regulated requirements, all breaches or failures in security must be reported to RBI, which can then order a special inspection or audit. Only institutions participating in the check clearing systems can be part of interbank internet gateway payment gateway. Which of the following statements are true regarding the provisions of internet banking facilities by cooperative banks as per RBI 2015 guidelines? Cooperative banks must seek a prior approval before launching internet banking with transactional capabilities. For view-only internet banking, no fund-based transactions are allowed, but customer requests like checkbook requisitions are permitted. जहाँ पे देखना ही allowed है, सिर्फ view only parties allowed, transactions are not allowed. ठीक है, बट चेक बुक के लिए आप अप्लाई कर सकते हैं, डेफिनेटली कर सकते हैं. Cooperative bank with CRAR, cash reserve ratio, the CRAR, sorry, of 8% and net NPAs. Sorry, I'm really sorry. चलिए, with net NPAs of 5% can offer CRA's capital to risk way asset ratio. ये दोनों अलग अलग चीजें होती हैं, ठीक है। Cooperative bank with CRAR of 8% and net NPAs of 5% can offer transactional internet banking if it has positive net worth. Question number 24. Question number 24. See, here statement number 1. Let's see statement number 1. ठीक है. Statement number 1 is saying cooperative banks must seek prior approval before launching. Obviously, बिना approval के आप RBI के approval के you cannot start you with your internet banking. So this is a requirement. RBI की guidelines clear है कि approval के बिना you cannot launch internet banking. नेक्स्ट इज व्यू ओनली में आप सिर्फ व्यू ओनली कर सकते हैं. यू कैन नॉट अलाउ एनी ट्रांजैक्शंस टू हैपन. मेकिंग स्टेटमेंट नंबर 2 एज करेक्ट टू. द मिनिमम एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया फॉर CRAR इज 8% एंड NPA शुड नॉट बी मोर देन 3%. अगर NPA 3% से ज़्यादा है, बैंक कैन नॉट मूव फॉरवर्ड विद दिस इंटरनेट ट्रांजैक्शंस. ठीक है. मेकिंग स्टेटमेंट नंबर 3 एज इनकरेक्ट. 1 is correct, 2 is correct, 3 is not correct. That is C is the correct answer. Okay. RBI's guidelines clearly states that prior approval is required from RBI for launching transactional internet banking by cooperative banks. The view-only internet banking facilities is strictly non-transactional but allows limited services like balance viewing and checkbook request. The minimum eligibility criteria for CRAR is 10% and net NPAs must not be more than 3%. This fails both conditions. Which of the following statements are true regarding the provisions of internet banking facilities by cooperative banks as per RBI's 2015 guidelines? Cooperative banks must have at least 2 professional directors on their board to be eligible for transactional internet banking. Okay. Cooperative banks should report the start of view-only internet banking to RBI NABARD in case of STCBs and GCCBs within 1 month of starting services. अगर view-only services start करिए तो within 1 month you have to report it to RBI and NABARD. Is this such requirement? Yes, there is a requirement कि आपको inform करना पड़ेगा. Then comes statement number 1. Cooperative banks must have at least 2 professional directors. Yes, a sound internal control system is required. Okay? So this is a mandatory requirement, making both the statements as correct. Cooperative banks must inform RBI and NABRD if applicable within 1 month from launching a view-only service. A sound internal control system including 2 professional directors on the board is mandatory for approval. Mr. Rao, CFO of large NBFC, is reviewing investment and issuance option in money market instrument. He is considering the following actions: issue commercial papers of rupees 3 crore with a credit rating of A4, buyback of CP issued 20 days ago at prevailing market rate, issue of certificate of deposit of rupees 25 lakhs with physical certificate format. Which of the following statement are not permitted by RBI as per RBI regulations? See, commercial paper is an unsecured short-term instrument issued in the form of promissory note by companies, NBFCs, scheduled commercial banks, etc. इनका tenure होता है 7 days to 1 years and this can be discounted at face value. ठीक है. देर इज नो फिजिकल फॉर्म, फिजिकल सीपीज नाउ. अभी कोई सीपी फॉर्म में अलाउड, फिजिकल फॉर्म में सीपीज होते नहीं है, अब डीमैट फॉर्म में होते हैं. ठीक है. तो एनबीएफसी कब सीपी को इशू कर सकते हैं? जब उनकी नेट वर्थ है मोर देन 100 करोड़, इक्वल टू और मोर देन 100 करोड़ रुपीज. क्रेडिट रेटिंग इज मिनिमम A3 और इक्विवेलेंट. ठीक है. क्रेडिट रेटिंग इज इक्वल A3 और मोर देन A3. ठीक है. सो A4 is lower and is not allowed. A4 is lower and is not allowed. अब बायबैक सिचुएशन के लिए बायबैक ऑफ कमर्शियल पेपर इज अलाउड ओनली आफ्टर 30 days. 30 days के बाद ही आप बायबैक कर सकते हो, उससे पहले नहीं. ठीक है. एंड लेट्स टॉक अबाउट क्वेश्चन स्टेटमेंट नंबर. समथिंग हैपेंड. Certificate of deposit of rupees 25 lakhs with physical certificate format. As I have told you कि अब हम डीमैट फॉर्म में ही काम करते हैं. We do not work in the physical form, making all the statements as violative, and these all the statements are not permitted, making D as the correct answer. No? Minimum rating of the CP is A3 and not A4. A4 is lower than allowed. Buyback 30 days के बाद होता है और डीमैट फॉर्म में अलाउड है सिर्फ. ठीक है. Same Mr. Rao, CFO of large NBFC, is reviewing investment and issuance options in money market instrument. He is considering the following: CP, investment of 10 crores in CP issued by a related party NBFC. Approve underwriting of new CP issuance to ensure full subscription. That you get full subscription. तो आपने new CPs को issue कर दिया. Which of the following is not permitted? क्या ये permitted है? क्या permitted नहीं है? Is issuing of new CP allowed? It is not. See, CP issue cannot be underwritten or co-accepted. And when we talk about statement number 1, investment of 10 crore in CP issued by a related party NBFC. Investment in CP issued by related parties are not allowed. This is also a prohibition, making both the statements as neither of the statements are permitted. ठीक है. Not permitted. Question not permitted. Permitted. Yeah, okay. It's the answer should be. आंसर शुड बी सी. बोथ आएगा ना यहाँ पे. सी करेंगे हम इसको आंसर को, क्योंकि नॉट परमिटेड ही है क्वेश्चन में. नाइदर नहीं होगा. इसको भी सी. आंसर भी सी. चलिए. XYZ Urban Cooperative Banks is following to optimize its short-term liquidity management. The following activities are considered: borrow up to 3% of the aggregate deposit in call money market, lending in term money market, and participate in call and notice money market within 2% gap. क्या अलाउड है इसमें से शॉर्ट टर्म लिक्विडिटी के लिए? Borrow up to 3% of aggregate deposit, not permitted. This is not permitted. The permission limit is 2%. 3% is not allowed. ठीक है. Cooperative banks lending in term money market, can they lend? Cooperative banks are not permitted to lend in term money market. There is a restriction on them. This is a prohibited activity. Participate in call and notice money market. See, this is allowed. 2% तक allowed है. 2% तक allowed है. Call money market में, call and notice money market में 2% तक allowed है. 3% तक allowed नहीं है. तो 1 and 2 are incorrect. 3 is correct. A is the correct answer. The prudential limit for cooperative bank is 2%, not 3%. Term money market में allowed ही नहीं है. और may borrow lend money with 2% in call or notice money market. So this is the last question we are going to do. इसके बाद हमारे पास 6 more questions हैं जो आप अपने आप practice करेंगे. And if you have any doubt, you can reach out to me in the next live lecture. ठीक है. XYZ Urban Cooperative Banks is planning to optimize its short-term liquidity management. The following activities are under consideration. Issue a CD for 10 days in physical form to an institutional investor. Borrow for call money market up to 2%. 2% अभी हम पढ़ के आए हैं. 2% is allowed है ना. 2% is allowed. So this statement is correct. Let's see statement number 1. Issue of CD, certificate of deposit, for 10 days in physical form. Physical form again not allowed. हमने पढ़ा डीमैट form allowed है. Yes, B is the correct answer. Very good राजेंद्र जी. डीमैट form allowed है, physical में नहीं allowed है. ठीक है. Then we have few more questions है. आप अपना प्लीज घर जाके से प्रैक्टिस करेगा. You all you need to do is practice the questions. लास्ट वाला क्वेश्चन मैं करवा देती हूँ. ठीक है. Which of the following statement about the power and limitations of banking ombudsman under the integrated ombudsman scheme of 2021 allowed है. ठीक है. An ombudsman can pass an award. ये ना स्पेशल क्वेश्चन है, नॉट अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस यूनिट. ठीक है. ombudsman scheme हमारा बी में है, मॉड्यूल बी में. चलो बट फिर हम भी यहाँ फिर भी ट्राई करेंगे. एन ombudsman कैन पास एन अवार्ड इवन इफ द कंप्लेंट इज साइमल्टेनियसली पेंडिंग बिफोर द DRT. DRT में ऑलरेडी एक अपील पड़ी है. क्या अब ombudsman यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन आंसर्स मतलब कुछ भी किसी भी जगह पे अवार्ड पास कर सकता है? नो ही कैन नॉट. ठीक है. कोर्ट में मैटर जा चुका है, DRT के पास मैटर जा चुका है. नाउ ombudsman हैज नो राइट टू प्रोसीड इन सच मैटर्स. A complainant must identify the correct ombudsman scheme before lodging a complaint. Now we have a rule of one ombudsman, one country, one ombudsman. ठीक है. तो आइडेंटिफिकेशन की अब रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है. वी हैव अ न्यू स्कीम नाउ. वी डू नॉट नीड टू आइडेंटिफाई कहाँ पे कंप्लेन करनी है. RBI चंडीगढ़ serves as the central receipt centralized receipt and processing center for complaint. इसे हम CRPC कहते हैं. Yes, it does. चंडीगढ़ में जो हमारा सेंटर है वो एक्ट करते हैं. तो 3 is the correct option only. That is it from my side. हमारा part 1 of this is complete. Module A is complete. इसके बाद हमारा part 2 है, in which we'll be dealing with unit 4, 5, 6 and 7. Till then, if you have any doubt, please reach out to me in the chat sections or in the live class tomorrow. We'll have live class tomorrow at the same time. Thank you. Very good, Rajendra ji. If you have any doubt, please write that in the chat section.